And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the PiGosaur Monday number 4. Your weekly dose of open StarCraft here for the Americas and Korean and European region. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, one and all. Welcome all to those in the chat, the lovely players that we have as well, and my plushies. We have a bracket. The bracket is live. The bracket is stacked. On top of that, welcome, everyone. Welcome to our very first PTR cast. I know that the KSRC was live earlier in the evening or in the night. It was crazy. Was live earlier, but now we are live for the first time in the PTR with a new map pool with a new patch. And spawning in the top right hand corner of ley lines, we have the American Terran player, the orange Terran. It is Patches, aka AI very easy. What's uh-oh. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the Peruvian Protoss player, the red Protoss. It is Mute. We'll have to try to fix. Hold on. Can I fix that? Let's see. Un momento, papi. Un momento. Refresh. Oh no. Never mind. So because we are on the PTR public test realm, it does mean that some things may be not working as intended, so I do apologize for the intros. We'll try to fix that. Meanwhile, oh, we're already going for the proxy. Here we go. We have one Rax back at home, one Rax across the map. Now there is a lot to get into, and we will slowly be going through all the changes. For the time being, though, nothing too applicable yet. We do have, of course, Mute's going for the gate expand. Meanwhile, Patch is going for a 2-Rax. I imagine 2-Rax Reaper build to be hyper aggressive here across the map. Oh boy, here we go. Of course, we can at least appreciate and embrace ley lines as well. Welcome everyone, one and all. Buenos dias. I also appreciate the birthday wishes that I was given earlier. Oh my god. We'll have to get rid of that at some point. Actually, can I? We just have to change some of our. Oh. Okay, there we go. There we go. We'll have to adjust some settings. Again, we are on the PTR, and Milo was another player that I was messaging. I don't think they know that I'm casting a different series. I don't think they're fully aware that we're casting a different series, but regardless, we got the Reapers. They have arrived. Going to be threatening that natural. Likewise, oh my god, committing here, going proxy factory. One base all in. Just going to be a one base all in by Patches. Going to be all or nothing. The first Reaper moving out. Meanwhile, Mute is setting up back at home, going for a robo opener. Very safe play here by the Protoss. Mute was able to scatter across the map. It did confirm that, of course, the Rax was missing. And as a result, Mute, he's preparing for aggression. So far, a good response by Mute, going for a robo, working towards immortal production. And we'll see if Patches will be able to catch him off guard and still break him regardless, as he's going for a wait, what? Proxy 2 factory? What's going on? Okay, so a second factory is on the way. We have the reactor on the factory as well. So going for a battle mech? Like, what can we afford here on one base economy with 2 factories? This I'm not so sure about. I'm imagining like Cyclone Hellion ? But this is going to take a while to really get going, and as this is progressing, of course, we have Mute building up on 2 bases. The first Immortal is already on the way, and Mute is looking quite secure. Meanwhile, yep, it is going to be Mass Cyclone. So we are reactivating out Cyclones as we speak. And that's going to be all or nothing for Patches. Meanwhile, Hallucination will confirm the missing production. Scouts to the main base gets eyes on the fact that there is nothing back at home, and that should be raising some red flags. There we go. Shield batteries are on the way. Now, these shield batteries are a little bit late. The first wave of Reapers are already upon us, but I imagine we're going to be needing more than just one shield battery. Oh, I'm not showing health bars. Oh, I will have to adjust that. I was wondering, like, what am I not seeing here? Okay, hold on. Damaged. There we go. Ah, beautiful. But again, it is a separate client, the PTR, I mean, so some of the settings might be a little bit wonky. It's all good. I think we usually have, hold on. There we go. God. I was like, this doesn't look right. Beautiful, beautiful. As yeah, just proxy 2-on-1 kind of setup here. Tech labs, like, this takes so long to get going. I mean, finally we do scout this. The Cyclones and the tank. I mean, this is quite a devastating army here for Patches going into proxy tank production. And 2 more tanks are on the way. Mute is aware, setting up a second shield battery. I imagine a third shield battery. He's got 3 immortals. And the problem here with this kind of like mech-based all-in is immortals completely shut this down. It scans ahead of time. There's 3 immortals back at home. First tank will siege. Mute pulls back, takes the tank shot to the face. The shields are triggered. Shield's going to be triggered. Patches going to be just slowly pushing forward with those tanks getting within range of that initial shield battery. Meanwhile, Mute just moving across the map. Why not? Why not at this point? As the first shield battery is under fire. I mean, okay, that's one of the big differences, of course, in the new patch is that there is no overcharge. But Mute, I don't think he needs it. He just moves that across the map instead. Yeah, he's forcing the all-in. Patches, he's on a timer. Keeper's going down. Patches, the supply blocked. Backup shield batteries are on the way. Boys are being pulled into Stalkers. It's going to be pretty here for Patches. So many SCVs going to be going down, but the tanks are gaining ground. And again, that's a lot of tanks. The Immortal's still amassing. Still building up. It's going to be 4 Immortals. Without a surround setup, I'm not too sure if Mute can actually break out of this. I mean, charge is done. But he needs Zealots. He needs Warp-ins. And Nexus is going to go down. Meanwhile, all the SCVs have fallen. CC does evacuate. Oh, and Patches, he's going to be recalling back home. Sorry, Mute even. I'm not sure if Mute can break through. He does get on top of the Cyclones at least, but the tank fire, oh my god. There's so many tank shots going off. Immortals are going down. But it looks like Mute does have enough. Yeah, he does. Will lose all of his Immortals. Was not a pretty trade, but GG gets called. Mute holds, and Mute takes game number 1. GG. The hell do we just watch? On the one hand, we have been theorizing, of course, and I should also mention the players. We have been theorizing, of course, that that tank pushes and 2-base tank all-ins are going to hit really hard in the upcoming patch. But not like this. This was just a 1-base double factory all-in, and it was just really unfortunate that Mute was playing so safely, so securely. He did open up Robo into Immortal, so he completely shut it down. He was in a bit of trouble towards the end there because he wasn't able to slow down the tank push and slow down and pick away at the tank count leading into the all-in. But regardless, was still able to hold on nonetheless. Did cripple the economy across the map. GG. GG, well played. Mute takes a lead in the series, and we'll see if Patches can bounce back. Oh boy. I mean, Mute is going to be favored here, 100%. Is going to be favored in this best of, but I want to believe that Patches can threaten him as we're getting ready for game number 2. We're going to be loading into El Dorado. Oh boy. For those that are curious, we are going to be embracing the newer maps in the map pool. The announced maps, I should say. El Dorado, for those that were here a couple of years ago, this is very similar to Golden Wall, but it's very small. It's like half the size of Golden Wall, so which is kind of crazy. A lot of gold bases. There's 3 gold bases on El Dorado, and I'm curious if we can make use of any of them. I'm a little bit concerned that Patches might just go for another all-in, but we'll see. We shall see. As we are going to be loading into that second game. It's catching up in the chat. Recall in, but I mean, I wasn't too fond of the recall. I'll be honest, if Mute just turned around and set up a surround instead, I think that would have been a little bit better for Mute to come in from behind with those stalkers. Regardless, did take it, did break through. I thought this was already live. No, it's still like a month out before going live. So this is just the PTR. The patches are not going to be finalized yet, which means they're still subject to change. As here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of El Dorado, we have the American Terran player, the Orange Terran. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back. It is Patches. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss player from the land of Peru. Leading the series 1-0, it is Mute. AKA very easy AI. Let's go. And this is going to be one of the more unorthodox maps in the map pool. Very short rush distance by ground, short rush distance by air as well. Welcome to El Dorado. So similar to Golden Wall in many years past, you can mine through these mineral patches, gain access to the southern half of the map, where you have gold bases towards the north, you have gold base here towards the center as well. You can even try to throw down a gas geyser and try to mine through these mineral patches and gain access to the natural. I guess that is the big difference between this and Golden Wall. Golden Wall, the mineral wall is actually in the main, so you can actually mine right into the main base instead. Here, it's going to be at the natural, so a little bit more secure in that sense, as the SCV has mined through and is looking to throw down potentially a ninja base. Curious where we're going. Likewise, there are also minerals here in the center that you can also mine through to gain access to the Centros del Naga. Patches is going for the initial racks first. Single gas geyser is going to be racks into expand. It's going to be a more economic opener out of Patches. He should be going for the CC, but will it be at the natural location or at the gold? My eyes are on this SCV as Patches, he's building up those minerals and he's going up for the gold expansion. Now, this is a very exposed base, as you can imagine, it's all on its own. Mute is still looking for the expansion, looking for the setup. If Mute were to check this mineral wall, then he would notice that it was mined through and he would gain access to this location, but Mute has yet to do so. So he's still scouting here towards the north. There we go, gold base is on the way. Patches going for the Reaper first into Reactor. And we'll see if Patches can get away with this. That's kind of the big question here. Mute behind this does confirm the racks, is aware of the more standard opener this time. Is going to be potentially a 3 racks here from Patches. Okay, there's potential. Either a 2-1-1 or a 3 racks. Regardless, a more aggressive follow-up here. Very biocentric with Stim on the way for the Terran. Reaper dips in. And will pick off the Sentry. Not a bad pick-off. Sentry goes out. All the doubloons! I appreciate the aesthetic. Doubloons all over the place. And once again, Robo. Okay, so once again, a very safe opener by Mute, going for a Robo. What this means here is that once again, he has access to faster Immortal production. On top of that, once Mute realizes what's going on, he can also go into fast Colossus production as well. So a very safe play out of Mute. Meanwhile, the workers are being transferred over towards the gold. Patches behind this. I assumed is going for a 3 racks follow-up. This is a 4 racks. This is much more committed, much more aggressive. I mean, it does make sense because you can afford an extra racks and extra production because of the gold minerals, true. And this should be a Stim timing. Yeah, Stim is on the way. And this is going to hit like a truck. Now, if Mute were to scout this, he can respond with a Bay with fast Colossus, but Mute has yet to really confirm what's going on. The Sentry went down earlier, but we do have a backup Sentry warped in, hallucinations on the way, and Mute needs to scout. He's moving through the center of the map. Mute checks the gold across the map as well. I don't know if he realizes what the minerals were mined through. Does get eyes on all the Raxes. And I said before, a 4-rack setup is going to be a 5-rack setup. And Mute has finally scouted the gold base. He knows. He now knows what's going on. How does he respond? The Bay. So far, a very crisp response here by Mute, going for the Roix Bay. This means that the first Colossus should come out in time for the first push. And with 1 Colossus, I mean, he's going to be fine. Mute should be able to hold on. As he's going to be walling up. The natural is actually quite large. Looking at some of the features of the map itself, you can see, of course, 2 entry points. Very wide open. Very exposed as well. Like, I can definitely see 4-gate Blink being potentially... Oh, never mind. I was going to say potentially an issue, but I believe Blink Stalkers cannot actually get into the main from this low ground location. So they can only hit the natural. Interesting. Meanwhile, the Marines have arrived. The Marines have arrived. Pushing up the ramp. There is going to be a force field. And up! Oh, we do misplace! Uh-oh. Force field was misplaced. Marines, they stim on in. And that's going to be the death of all the Adepts, the Stalkers as well, the Sentry, the Probes, and everything's going down. Colossus will finally arrive. And we'll clean this up, but the damage is going to be brutal. So many workers go down. Oh my god. The Colossus under fire as well. Will shut down the Marines, but that was how many probe kills? That was 14. 14 workers going down. Now, what is impressive here is that Mute still has a comparable worker count to his opponent, but Patches has the gold, so he still has that greater economy. Again, you can see that one Colossus is all you needed to defend against this, but the force field, right? The force field was lackluster, was misplaced. If it wasn't for that, Patches would have held on, would have saved his mineral line, would have been in a beautiful position. Mute even, I think I said Patches. So that was a brutal hold. He is going to be limping along. Is going for the ninja base here to try to recuperate, try to recover. Bold move. Going for top left. Now getting into a second Colossus. And Patches, he's gearing up and getting ready for the second wave for the second push. This time with Marauders. He's already got a third CC as well. Of course, he can afford it thanks to the gold. And Patches can keep pushing. Do we have any backup sentries to do? Okay, we have a force field available. True. Mute's moving out, looking for any stray third. I mean, there is one, but Patches is unaware. I keep saying Mute. God damn. Aye, aye, aye. Okay, scanning for the third. Spots that there is none. Now, upon seeing no third expansion, honestly, there's nothing forcing Patches to push up this ramp. He doesn't have to. He can just chill. I mean, in his mind, he can just chill. He can back off. He can tech up, take more bases, focus on the economy. There we go. 4th CC now on the way. This makes sense for Patches in his mind. The problem is he doesn't know there's a ninja base. As we just had a recall, doesn't know that Mute's economy is actually comparable to his own. So Patches working with incomplete information. Meanwhile, Mute, of course, getting to a 4th Colossus. It's quite insane. 4 Colossus, diversifying his splash damage, Temple Archives on the way, that's going to be for Storm. Patches, he does fan out his Marines, thankfully. He's looking, he's scouting, and he will find the ninja. He knows, and he should shut it down. Okay, now spots the base, does respond. And I believe Recall is still on cooldown. It is. It's still on cooldown. Marines, they dive into the mineral line, probes are going to fall as well. Massive pickup. They're gonna try to escape, and some of them will, but the base will fall. And Muty has to push out. And how does he compare here? I mean, Muty is lacking some anti-air, so Viking production is gonna be ideal. The Vikings are amassing. Base goes down. Patches is moving out. Threatening a dive. Again, still was unable to really threaten this gold whatsoever. It's so exposed. Said Patches taking it back up third, saved a handful of probes, and he's just going to be more defensive instead. Gonna wait for Patches to push into him. Patches, he is pushing. Does move out. Sieging up within range of the third. Stims in. Colossus are doing what they can, but there's no shield battery. Shield battery still just now finishing up. The Zealots, they do tank a lot of shots. But the Colossus are exposed. The Vikings, they go ham. They're going to be able to take the first one down. And Patches, he should take this fight. Again, the goal base was never punished. Even almost mined out. And Patches, he should break through. He doesn't really have much left to work with. Oof. 2 more Colossus remaining. But again, there's no anti-air. The Vikings are just getting free damage. finally Stalker's warping in. Mute, he is holding on. Barely. But I spoke too soon. Oh, nice warp in. Mute, calm down. Saves one of the Colossus. Takes down some of the Vikings. Oh my god, that was still a brutal pick-off. Another Colossus goes down. And thanks to the economy patches, he can just keep going. He can just keep rebuilding, remassing. And he's going for wave 3. And he should be able to overwhelm Mute. As there is no more splash damage, no more Colossus. A storm isn't done, was never researched. The Bio Army, he stims. And he's looking to win. The Archon morphs in. But the tanks, they're getting within range. I mean, again, it's quite impressive that Mute was able to hold on for as long as he has, despite being down so heavily here in the economy. But GG gets called and Patches ties up the series 1-1. We are going to the ace match. GG. Oh my god. GG. Also, big shout out to Blaker Dudes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the donation in the chat. Gracias, papi. Gracias. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate it, papi. $13.37. Thank you so much. Do appreciate the support. And again, all the money that we make here on the channel goes towards our tournaments, goes towards Sparkling Tuna Cup, Sea Duckling Open, Masters 1 Open as well. So thank you. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Oh. And we are going to game 3. Getting into game 3 here. And I'm looking forward here to seeing some of these other newer maps. Again, when it comes to El Dorado, I do think that because it's a new map and because I imagine Mute isn't too accustomed to it, again, he wasn't really too fast to scout and to check for the gold. On top of that, something that I should have emphasized, I don't know if you noticed, but the mineral wall, it's not too visually obvious when it's been mined through. I don't know if you saw, but it was only like one small slither where the SCV could move through. So because that visually it wasn't too obvious, that may have also led to Mute scouting a little bit later, just because he didn't think that it was open and didn't think that a worker had actually gone through. So that could also be a bit of a factor as well. And with that, GG, well played. We are going all the way to the ace match. And we're going to be loading into Whispers of Gold. Okay, here we go. Sorry, just catching up. Also, shout out to PiGosaur in the chat. Ga, baby ga. Should also mention that, of course, this event is sponsored and organized by PiGosaur alongside Pig as a co-sponsor as well. So thank you so much for the gifted subs. Thank you so much, Papi. Thank you so much for subscribing and for gifting subs as well. Thank you. Thank you. Much love to Stegosaurus. Feliz cumpleaños, mi papi de StarCraft. Gracias, gracias. Gracias, man. As we are loading in. Now, unfortunately, even though the word is in the name, there are no gold bases on Whispers of Gold. Why is that? Why? Shaking my head. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the American Terran player, the Orange Terran, who are tying up the series and forcing the ace match. It is Patches. There we go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Peruvian Protoss player, the Red Protoss. It is Mute. Hold on, I have to read that. Where's the, there we go. Not very easy AI, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's go. as once again we are setting up for a fake proxy here. The initial Rax is thrown down at the third base location. This time not as committed. Last time, of course, it was a one base all in game 1. Here, Patch is trying to fake out his opponent. We'll keep an eye, though, on that second SCV as it does move out across the map, and we embrace Whispers of Gold. The main is huge. Jesus. The main is quite massive, actually. There's going to be Reaper Cliff here that is being walled off. Of course, a Blink Stalker aggression going to be very viable. Drop play as well, as the main base is massive here on Whispers of Gold. Scrolling on over towards the natural as well. There is no ramp coming into it. So the entry point actually to natural is quite large as well. Jesus. Very wide open space here area to enter that natural base. Third base looking a little bit more secure though. We do have a narrow choke point, likewise towards the left hand side as well. A very interesting potential third base location. It's really awkward. We don't often see bases positioned quite like this, vertically I mean, which is far more exposed, whether it's the wide ramp towards the left, whether it's towards the north here once the rocks get knocked down, or even run bys towards the south as well. So really kind of odd kind of base setup here. We don't often see it, not unheard of, but just very uncommon nowadays. So I imagine that's probably not the base we want to take unless we're going for something like a Roach all in across the map, like a Queen Walk across the map. I can definitely see this base being taken to spread creep, to like launch creep across the map, to knock down these rocks specifically as well, to reinforce and to commit to an all-in, specifically, you know, in ZVP, for example, maybe ZVT with kind of a gasless opener. But now though, we do have Mute going for a gate expand into his second gateway. No tech yet. Going for a Sentry-based opener. Once again, Sentry taking a lot of hits, but it will survive. It will zone away that Reaper. Will force it back. Meanwhile, back at home, it is going to be a 1-1 setup. So nothing too crazy. Going for the Rax expand into the factory. Reaper first. And Mute, once again, Robo opener. I don't know if you noticed, every game in this series so far, Mute has gone for a Robo. I mean, for good reason, in game 1 and game 2, going for the Immortal and going for the Colossus. Meanwhile, Patches, once again, sorry, I just realized he's going for a second factory. He's an animal, Bobby. Hallucination will get eyes on one of the factories, doesn't get eyes on the other, so incomplete information here for Mute. He did spot the floating racks, and that should be a tell. That should be a tell that something is wrong. Hallucination will check, and he does confirm the second factory. So very similar to game 1, it looks like it's going to be a mech-based all-in. Yep. Third factory's on the way. Feeling mass Hellion Cyclone. Oh boy. So Patch is looking to mech it up. Meanwhile, upon seeing all the factories, Immortal production, right? So once again, it pays off to go for a very safe opener from Mute. He's gone Robo every single game, and oh, actually, he cancels the Immortal. Interesting. I mean, with canceling this Immortal, he's going for a faster Twilight Council. I imagine this should be for charge. I mean, you can go one of two ways. Either charge first or blink. As we do see Patches prioritizing Blue Flame, not Hurricane Engines. Interesting. He's going for Blue Flame instead. Immortal was restarted. It is going to be Blink first. So Immortals and Blink Stalkers eventually into charge. Mute just trying to be secure, trying to be safe. And Patches is amassing his army. Interesting. Third TC's on the way, so Patches is not going for a 3-base all-in. He is building up quite a force to work with. It's quite threatening, quite terrifying, but is expanding. He is going for the third expansion. Patches moving out. Oh! Letting out some Hellions. Speed out a couple of Hellions. Mute pushing out across the map as well. Now, because it was a Robo opener, Blink is late. Blink is delayed. So Mute can't really threaten the main base quite yet. Has to wait for his upgrades. Likewise, tanks getting position. Patches now getting into Hurricane Engine, switching into tank production as well. Oh, but some of the production here is caught out. Yeah, Cyclone does fall. Massive pickup. Cyclone. Observer gets spotted. And this army for Mute ideally just wants to slow down the push. slow down any kind of move out and give Mute a heads up. Reinforcing with more stalkers. Third base is going to get up and running. Likewise, not a lot of bases to take either. I mean, just the map layout here is intriguing to me. I'll say the Whispers of Gold is one of the more unorthodox maps in the map pool. It is very wide open here in the center of the map. When we were going over the maps during the podcast, oh my god, as Mute gets caught out. Yeah, 3, 4, 5 Stalkers falling, massive pickoffs. Oh my god, almost another. Mute does get away. But we were going over all the maps in the map pool, and this one is one of the more quote-unquote like open maps, Mac-oriented as well, less defensive, less turtley compared to some of the other maps in the map pool. So we'll see if patches can actually make mech work on this map. Like, I feel like there are others that are better suited for it. Is kind of what I'm getting at. Just because of how many different attack paths or attack avenues are going to be available, especially once the rocks get knocked down. So then patches, he does move out. Does push, supply blocks Mute. Charge now finishing up. Tanks have arrived. Not too many tanks, but they're getting within range. And Mute is going to try and go head on. It's not going to be pretty. Tanks within range of the Nexus. There's a shield battery behind this. Nexus taking a lot of hits. And here comes the surround. Zealots from behind. They do run into some of the Cyclones. Decent pickoffs though. Yeah, Mute, he does commit. Going for the tanks. 1, 2 tanks go down. There's one more tank behind this. And Mute will completely shut this down. Gets the final tank. Again, those Zealots, they put in a lot of work. They shut down the Cyclones, came in from behind, drew away some tank fire, and Mute breaks out. He breaks out, and that was a massive loss for patches. His tank count was reset, being forced back to the third base. His third is, again, very vulnerable, very exposed. He's just getting his fourth. Getting his fourth up and running. Mute, he doesn't commit. And patches, he's still just throwing down more factories. He's committing into this mech style. I mean, I appreciate something different here, true. I appreciate it. But it's very difficult to make mech work here against Protoss. Just because Chargelot Archon Immortal does so well, it trades so efficiently against Cyclone Tank. Like, typically, ideally, mech would be the more efficient army, but that is not the case in this kind of game state. Alien Rumbai is denied. Zealots, they warp in to defend. Mute's army is spotted. Cyclones, they rotate. Tank looking to siege up, but alas, late to siege. The tank goes down. And from here, Mute team just collapse on the third. Zealots, they bust into the mineral line, forcing friendly fire. Cyclones getting caught out by the Chargelots. Yeah, and Patches getting pulled apart. GG gets called. Mute will take the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. Mute will take it. I appreciate the Patches. He tried different builds every game. We had even a crazy one base all-in game 1, which kind of fell on its face, but I appreciate that Patches did try to think outside the box. Here in the Ace match, going into mech was a bold move. In a way, mech has been improved in some ways. Specifically, Hellions, they do additional bonus damage to light units. Blue Flame Hellions specifically, that helps with run-bys, that helps with harassment, true, but Yeah, outside of that, wasn't quite able to make that work. I feel like usually mech in TVP, it can work. We've seen Gumiho make use of it as well, but he does often either go for earlier timings, just very crisp, very aggressive timings with Cyclone Tank, or does pivot away, fall back, and turtle up with like a heavier tank style instead, and play more defensive. And I don't think this map really helped patches. Like this is one of the more open maps in the map pool. So trying to turtle on Whispers of Gold, that does feel like disaster kind of waiting to happen. There are definitely better maps for that. Regardless, GG, well played. Mute will take the series, and with that, let's catch up on the bracket. We do have a lot going on. Shout out to Patches though for, of course, competing, and Mute will make it into the round of 16. And the question becomes, who's up next? Does he have an opponent? That is not the bracket. Un momento. As we do fix things up. Here we go. Okay, from the top, we have our round of 32. We have Clem. Clem versus J Money is about to begin. J Money takes down Bomelja 2-0. They are currently mid-series. Scrolling down, we have Arrowfire. Arrowfire takes down Dave Tessa 2-0. Now begins Eggs in the second round in a PVZ. Best of luck. Best of luck to Eggs and Arrowfire. We also have Estrella. Estrella going up against Rebellion in a PvP. Best of 3. Geralt is facing off against Pig. Björn takes down his opponent 2-0. Björn already in the quarterfinals. And Björn is waiting for the winner of Nickracked and Maples. They are currently locked into a Protoss versus Terran. Honestly, Nickracked versus Maples sounds like a lot of fun. Alas, Mute advances on to face off against Shin in the next round. Mute versus Shin, let's go. Likewise, looks like there was a walkover. Foxer takes down Milo 2-0, and Falling Ninja gets a walkover over Special Juanito. I was looking forward to potentially seeing some Juanito action, but that is not meant to be. There was a walkover, and Falling Ninja is up against Foxer in the round 16 as well. And you heard it, we have our next series, we have our next matchup. We're going to be following Mute into Shin. That is the plan. We go. Do need to quickly set things up. So we are going to be setting things up here for that PvZ. Looks like vetoes are done, and game 1 is going to be on Ultra Love. It's a travesty that Ultra Love is not pink or purple. I did see Coco posting, I think yesterday or the day before, about that. The color scheme is, I feel like we missed an opportunity here. Also, I don't think there's an Ultra list on Ultra Love. On top of that, it's also one of the most turtley maps in the map pool. Like, we'll get into it, but there are so many choke points and so many ramps on Ultra Love. It is crazy. Not just that, we have destructible rocks to knock down towers. It's an interesting map, I should say. We'll get into it. But I do appreciate that we're able to experience a wider array of maps, at least so far. We've gotten into El Dorado, Whispers of Gold, Ley Lines, now Ultra Love. I appreciate it. I see patches in the chat. Tried to make happen. Unfortunately, still very much so unviable. I mean, we've seen pro Terrans make use of it before, but it is very difficult. It's very difficult to make happen. True. Pro scouting feels much better with energy overcharge. Yeah, especially because you can, of course, overcharge the sentry immediately and have more hallucinations. True. Not wrong. Not wrong. But well played, Patches. Well played. The whispers were a lie. catching up. But it looks like we're waiting for our players to restart. Looks like there was a bit of a bug. But Mute is jumping back in. One of the new maps that we haven't seen yet is Snowpiercer. We'll get there, I'm sure. Hopefully. And there's also an older map that was thrown in just for fun. That is Hecate. Hecate has been thrown into the map pool for this tournament. There's no... By no means is it confirmed for the new map pool or anything like that. It's just, yeah, just for fun. Just an extra map to help fill out the map pool. For those that are curious, specifically for these PTR tournaments, they're not actually implementing any of the current maps into the veto process or into the map selection. So there's no post-youth, there's no Amphion, none of that, of course, no Crimson Court. So we can just force the new maps. That's the goal, at least, to get as much practice, as much testing as we can. And here we go, we're getting to our fresh series, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ultra Love, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is Shin. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the Blue Protoss player from the land of Peru. It is Mute. El Peruano. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It's time to get your gambler going. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series. Best of luck. Shin is going to be favored, one of the big favorites to maybe even win the entire tournament. But Mute, he can pose a threat. He is a sole player in his own right. And we'll see how he compares as we are loading into Ultra Love. Now, what I will say is that there are some fun features and some fun visual quirks of this map. The big one, of course, being the massive void zones that we have here between the bases. Likewise, we have these kind of like ethereal ley lines that are also going through and like permeating throughout the entire map. So visually it is very appealing. Like it's really cool. Vortex, that's what I was looking for, not void. But we have like the vortex visuals all over the place and kind of the rivers of ether. As we are settling in. Again, with some of the big features of this map is the fact that we have a ramp coming into the natural. It's quite a narrow ramp as well. And speaking of ramps, I mean, there's a lot of choke points. There's a lot of choke points here. There's a lot of ramps as well to take advantage of, to wall off and wall up. It's actually been quite some time since we've had destructible towers. I just realized, I think it's been a couple of seasons, if not a couple of years, since we have had these towers. I mean, I say that, I guess technically we had towers on altitude, true. If you remember, there was some towers that you could knock down to destroy the Zelnaga tower. Speaking of, hello tower. But I think this one is just a wall off. But I guess technically we had them on altitude, but like we rarely played on altitude anyway. We rarely casted on it. Didn't count, Pappy, didn't count. But you can knock down that tower. You can fully wall off here at the third location. And likewise, you can wall off here towards the center of the map as well. So, a lot of walling, a lot of SimCity. So, I would imagine that this is a prime map to slow the game down and try to force a late game, especially in a matchup like ZVT. In ZVP, we'll see. It also feels the case as well. Especially with this triangular third base being so secure, I don't really see Queen Walks or Roach All-Ins working too well on this map. So I do think Protoss players can slow the game down. But now, Void Ray is going to be a Void Ray opener for Mute. With that, he can hunt down the Overlords. Oh, we even have like a Cosmic Storm in the back. Oh my god, like look at that! It looks nice. Like visually. I'm going to veto this map, but still. Whenever I'm casting. It's crazy. The Overlord just experiencing a light show. I don't think we've ever seen this effect on maps before. It's really cool. Meanwhile, Lings are moving out. Lings do move out. Oh god, we even have narrow bridges as well. Jesus. They do go for the third. There is only the one Adept here, so the third base is exposed, is vulnerable. Void Ray out of position, and it looks like Mute is going to be forced to cancel. There we go, there's a cancel on the Nexus. Lings, they move out, so they rotate towards the natural. Don't quite find a way in. And Mute is rushing into Skytoss. Yeah, I thought this would happen. I mentioned before that, again, this map is quite defendable because of that. Fleet Beacon, second Stargate, rushing in towards either Carrier or Tempest. It makes sense. It does make sense here for Mute. Meanwhile, Shin back at home, droning up, throwing down a safety Roach Warren. Saturating his bases, spreading creep. Lings, they hit the third base once again. Another cancel. Massive pig off. Second cancel here on the third. Massive delay. Shin achieving a lot with a little here. And despite the fact that Mute is attempting to turtle up, he's struggling. He is limping his way into the mid-game. Rocks are being knocked down, or at least the tower is walling up. Tempest production has begun. Once again, he threatens another Ling run by. And these are efficient trades. 2 cancellations, 2 zealots, an adept earlier, a pylon. It's been good value here for Shin. Now, he hasn't seen much in the main. Shin, he is in the dark. He can make assumptions, though. Like, the fact that there are no additional Adept Warpins and no additional Void Ray, no Oracle, that all screams Skytoss. It all screams Fleet Beacon. But Shin does not have confirmation. Not yet. That's another Zealot Warpin. Once again, that is a tell. The fact that we're warping in Zealots means that, of course, Mute is preserving his gas. Preserving his gas for what? We know it's Skytoss. And Shin can also make that kind of deduction as well. And there it is, Spire. Yeah. Shin, again, even though he hasn't seen directly the Skytoss based on these warp-ins, based on the setup here at the third, he knows. So Spire is on the way. Fourth base as well. We can see Shin making some safety roaches. Like, technically, this could also be a charge all-in. True. Could be a charge all-in based on what Shin has seen. So he is amassing up some roaches just in case. He can always morph them into Ravagers. They can still support against the Skytoss army with those piles. Fourth base being taken. All the gases being saturated as well. And Mute is banking up those Tempest. Since I hate the layout, love the aesthetic. Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Like, it's a very, like, aesthetic map, like, aesthetically pleasing map. It looks good. I'm never gonna play on it, but it looks good. But it looks good. As here we go, the Tempest, they do reveal themselves, they do move out, making their way towards the fourth. Spire is done. Tempest have arrived. They do catch a Queen. Queen goes down. The base under fire as well. No Corruptors yet. The Queen's able to zone away, but that is a lot of Tempest. That's 6 Tempests here. 4 Mutes, and you get one shot. Is one-shotting those Queens. Queens are going down. The hatchery as well. Good PiGosaur here by Mute. Not bad. Gets the base. Gets the expansion. But he has to be careful not to overextend. The Corruptors, they're now arriving. Going for the Tempest. Likewise, Mute, he's going to try to snipe the lair. One Tempest goes down. Second Tempest as well, but the lair, one more volley, one more shot, it does fall. Goes to the recall. Oh, it does cost him 3 Tempests in total. 3 Tempests for the lair. Was it worth it? Meanwhile, Mute switching into Mass Void Ray. Into Ground Toss. So Void Ray and Charge Lots. Shin behind this is struggling. He does have a healthy drone count, but he's on 3-base saturation. Heavily oversaturated. So he needs that fourth. Raptor's dipping in. Pushing between the bases. Going for the natural. Bold move. And can they get it? Oh, not quite. Just force it back off. They do get eyes on the Void Rays. Again, Mute, he's done with Tempest production. Going to Void Ray charge. Getting a 4th expansion. Shin backing off, rotating around. Tries to go for the fourth. Runs into the voids. Oh, gets one of the Tempest. Lings, they do collapse in. The Pickles aren't looking too bad. Show us the vials. Up on the voids. Now they zone them back. And Shin, he breaks through the Sky Toss, takes down the Void Race, takes down the Tempest. The Roach Ravager does struggle though on the ground. So even though the Tempest army gets completely reset, the ground army was struggling. Shin diving in. Threatens the bases. Keeps me busy. Rebuilding more Roach Ravager. And all in all, that was not a bad fight for Shin. Especially since Mute is still stuck at home. He doesn't counterattack. So Shin is going to be able to build up once again. So is Mute. Shin has a supply lead. Has his fourth up and running. And we should soon be seeing a fifth. Shin is getting ready for his push. Opening up more attack paths. Likewise, Mute trying to get ready. He's got cannons, he has shield batteries. Storm is not researched, so only Archon production. Corruptors, they go for the natural. And they're gonna be able to get it as well. A couple of Corruptors are going down, but it's gonna be worth it as the Nexus does fall. At the same time, Shinny hits the fourth. Wait for the fourth expansion. Oof. Has to back off, takes down a lot of Zealots. And Mute is going to have a hard time holding on. Cannon goes down. No Storm. No Force Fields. I mean, even against Roach Ravager. Won't be able to hold his own. And Shin just zoning Mute away. And he is overwhelming. Behind this is taking up as well. Hydrogen's on the way. Infestation Pit. Hive Tech. Shin is taking up, but he doesn't even need to. And GG gets called. It's just too much to handle, and Shin will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. It wasn't a bad start for Mute. Again, killing 2 expansions. He killed the 4th base, he killed the main, he got all the queens. It was not a bad start whatsoever for the Protoss. Unfortunately, though, he wasn't quite set up at his 4th base, wasn't able to protect his Skytoss army, wasn't able to fortify his and preserve his Void Rays or his Tempest. Shin was able to counterattack, and oh, we're going to be able to feature another one of the newer maps. Let's go. Game 2 is going to be on Snowpiercer. Okay. On top of that, even though the Tempest push was successful, if you remember, the lead up to the Tempest push was where Mute was also struggling. His 3rd base was denied twice. We saw 2 cancellations on the 3rd, a lot of Zealots going down, and again, because of the scouting of Shin, even though he wasn't quite ready for the first Tempest push, he had the Spy already done, he had plenty of Corruptors that he did eventually make use of. Did eventually overwhelm. Here we go, we're getting ready for that second game. Going to be loading into Snowpiercer. Oh boy. Another very defendable map as well. I don't think it's anywhere near as severe or extreme as Ultra Love, but very secure 3 and 4 base setup. A lot of choke points, a lot of ramps. Here we go. We are loading in. Going to be loading in. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Snowpiercer, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Gaimin Gladiators. It is Shin. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Peruvian Protoss, the blue Protoss player. Down in the series, we'll see if we can bounce back. It is Mute. Not very easy AI. Smooch. Here we go. Once again, a map with a very large main base, so a base like this is going to be abusable and is going to be vulnerable to things like a Blink Stalker play and Blink Stalker openers, likewise drop play as well. Jeez, actually massive, Jesus. That is a thing to bear in mind. Likewise, what I'm referring to, though, are the 3 and 4 base setups. Now, even though we do have a lot of ramps, and even though I do see a world where you can establish yourself on these 4 bases, the ramps are quite large, they are quite wide, so there is potential for aggression, I do want to believe. We'll see. We shall see as Shin is opening up Hatch Gas Pool, standard opener out of our Zerg player. It's going to be a more standard opener. And my eyes are going to be on Mute. Remember, last game, Mute, he tried to rush into Tempest, but a big reason for that was the map itself, was Ultra Love. We'll see what approach he goes for this time. Once again, a very wide natural base. Entry point to the natural, I should say. Shin is building up. And moving out for his scout. And based on the pylon placement, this might be some hidden tech. The pylon is thrown down closer to the mineral line, not further out in the main. And we have confirmation, Twilight Council. Okay, so it's going to be a Twilight Council opener out of Mute, working towards either Dark Templar or Glaive Adepts. Oh, is all of this high ground? Interesting. And true, I mean, because of this point of elevation, I believe the Stalker should be able to shoot the Overlord if it does stray a little bit too close. So Stalker is on patrol. So far, Shin is somewhat in the dark. Going for his third. It's going to be droning. And Mute, so far, he has not pulled out a gas. This is looking like a Dark Shrine build here from the Protoss. But we'll see. We'll see if he does decide to move out. Or pull out, I should say. And there it is. There's the Dark Shrine, as I did mention. If it was Glaives, then he would have pulled out a gas. But he did stay in. So DTs for Mute. This is not an all-in, bear that in mind. This is just designed to get an economic lead. To get across the map, get a couple of drone kills, get some overlords as well by morphing in the Archons, and gaining map control, and macroing from there. As gateways are on the way. And we'll see how Shin does respond. So far, no safety Roach Warren yet. We've just reached the 4-minute mark. Overlord gets spotted. The Scouts is going to get a little bit further into the main. We'll get eyes on at least some of the gateways. Up! But won't see much more than that. Just spots the gates. I mean, upon seeing 2 Stalkers, it has to be a Dark Shrine. Otherwise, it would have been more Adepts. Back at home, yep, Spore. We have a Spore at the natural, Spore in the main. No Spore at the third, so the third base is a little bit more exposed. But Shin should be okay. Should be able to hold his own. Roach Warren's on the way as well. Lings, they check the natural. They get eyes on the third. Lings, they move in to force a cancel. At the same time, here comes that War Prism. Shin, he gets us around. Will cancel. Up! Oh, that was a kill. That was a kill, not a cancel on the expansion. Ay, ay, ay. Mute was otherwise distracted. Does over in 4 Dark Templar, headed towards the natural. But remember, there is a Spore. Spore does finish here at the third as well. Means they get in position. Nice Evo block here at the natural. And the DTs, they do not get into the mineral line. Oh, the Prism, no! The Prism! It does get too close, takes a lot of damage. Mute does get away. But that was brutal. Munity doesn't get any worker kills, doesn't get a queen. His third base is... Oh, it was killed. Heavily delayed. And here come the Lings to deny for a second time. Oh, no. They have arrived. They go first round. They force a cancel. And this time, thankfully, it was canceled. Jesus, that's 8 Dark Templar. Oh my god. And Muti's doubling down. Blink. Blink is on the way for those Dark Templar. 8 DTs in total. It's going to be a Hail Mary play here for Mute. More DT. Jesus, he's going pure DT. My god. Pure Dark Templar. Detection has arrived. With good enough control, yeah, the DTs, they can hold their own against Pure Ling. They're okay. That's 10 Dark Templar. Jesus. I mean, that is a hatchery sniping squad if I've ever seen one. He's moving out. His goal here is to blink in and to snipe an expansion. You know, Shin getting ready. Building up a Roach-based army. That's a 13 Dark Templar. 13. He's going for the main. He's going for the lair. Does dive in. Lair is exposed. Queen falls. Backup queens all the way. He's going for the expansion, and he will get it. Yeah, there's no saving the lair. Will have to try to recall. Oof. Blinking away. There's the recall. And some of the... Oh my god. Some of the DCs will escape. And the question becomes, was that worth it? I mean, sure, he killed the lair, which is nice. Lair's being rebuilt here at the natural. But, Mute doesn't really have much of an army to work with here. He's now getting into a mortar production, which will help. But he invested quite heavily into that Dark Templar harass. And here comes the counterattack. Here comes Shin. Pushes up towards the third. The Zero turns his pylon. No! Pylon goes down, depowers everything. The cannons and the shield batteries. And with that, there's just nothing left. GG gets called. Shin, he overwhelms. And Shin takes the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Shin will take the 2-0, will advance on. My condolences to Mute. Again, Mute, he had very interesting builds. I mean, it was a DT opener, but he doubled down. Once it didn't do any damage, he tried to commit, and he did pick off a base. True, did get a lair, but didn't get much more than that. Again, the rest of his army was lacking because of how committed he was to Dark Templar, and in the end, Shin overwhelmed. Did overwhelm. GG, well played. Shin will take it, will advance on, and will make it to the quarterfinals. Does Shin have an opponent, though? Let's find out. Let us find out. Exclamation mark. Be in the chat if you guys want to have a look back yourselves. Ooh, we have a lot of updates, and Shin does have an opponent. Here we go. From the top, we have Clem. Of course, we have Clem takes down J Money 2-0. Clem is waiting for the winner of Arrow Fire and Eggs. They're currently mid-series. Scrolling down, we have Astray versus Geralt in a PvP. They're locked in a PvP in the quarterfinals. Scrolling a little bit further down, we have Björn versus Maples. Oh my. Maples. Calm down. Maples, he takes down Nicorak 2-1. Very impressive performance here from the Canadian Protoss player. Hold on, I'll scroll down a little bit to let you guys see. That might be a little bit better. There we go. Maples, he takes down Nicorak 2-1. Very impressive. Now up against Björn in the quarterfinals. And you can see there at the bottom of the bracket, we have Foxer. Foxer takes down Falling Ninja 2-0 and is now up against Shin in the quarterfinals. That is our next series. That is our next series. It's going to be a ZVT between Foxer and Shin. do need a moment here to get things sorted. Vetoes are underway. And we're going to be focusing on the lower half of the brackets. We're going to be following, ideally, Shin and Foxter into the winner of Björn versus Maples in that lower semifinals match. That is the plan. Is the plan. I had fun. Thank you for competing with me. Thank you. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed yourself. I mean, hey, you had your own moments. Especially, winding it back. I mean, you can watch the VOD if you wish, but like your initial Tempest push in game 1 was quite successful. Like, you killed, what was it, like 6 or 7 queens. You killed 2 bases, the 4th base and the main as well, which was also a lair. Like, you got a lot done. Got a lot done in that first game, the first Tempest push. There were some other areas that that Shin was looking a little bit stronger in, but regardless, GG, well played. GG, well played. As we're getting ready for that next game. Also, shout out to all the other language casters. Enki is casting in Spanish. We have Rocklets casting in Portuguese, or in Portuguese, or in Brazilian. I just realized we're not actually on TL. Smurge. Hold on. Hold on. And now we can embrace the only map that we have yet to cast tonight. The only map left. We're going to be loading into Amygdala. Oh boy. Let's go. Such an odd name for a map. Like, why? Interesting. Are we ready for some big brain plays? Okay. Is it meant to spark emotion? Maybe. We are just filing in. And here we go. You can hear the beeps. We're getting into that first game. If you're in the chat, predictions will soon be open. It will soon be open. Don't you worry. We'll get there. We go spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Amygdala. We have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Diamond Gladiators. It is Shin. Not a very easy AI. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the American Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Berserker Esports, if I'm not mistaken. It is Foxer. We go. And if you're in the chats, predictions now open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series, on who you think will advance on to the semifinals, as we are entering a very, very odd map. We have some potential gold bases here right outside of the natural. They are blocked off by rocks, true, so expanding here would be a little bit more delayed. On top of that, the expansion is very exposed, as the mineral line is exposed to the elements, exposed to the center of the map, so a very difficult base to take without map control. Likewise, it is a very small map. What makes up for the map being so small, though, is the rush distance, because there are so many rocks here in the center of the map. Once they get knocked down, the map does reduce in size quite quickly, quite heavily. But with these rocks in place, it means that you do have to go the long way around. You have to go around the right-hand side or towards the left instead. Because of that, especially in certain matchups like ZVZ, Overlord scouting and Overlord pathing is going to be quite important. Bear that in mind as well, that because you have to knock down these rocks to gain access to the center of the map, you could maybe try to rush into this goal base a little bit sooner. It's possible. It's going to be possible. As we are now moving out, we have Zelnaga towers that are going to be within range of both scouting paths as well, or attack paths. on the left and the right. So a very unique map. A very unique map in that sense. Oh boy. Here we go as the Overlord does move out. Foxer back at home, going for the rack to span. Standard opener out of Foxer. Likewise, Shin just going hatch gas pool. Hatch gas pool, standard opener from our Zerg player. I bet on the very easy AI. Oh no. Not like this. Not like this. But yeah, the application that we use for introductions, because this is a separate client, it's not really connecting properly to the PTR. But we still get the trumpets though. That's what's important. Ah, the trumpets. Beautiful. Worth it. Oh, as Foxer is opening up with a 1-1-1. Interesting. Very aggressive build here by Foxer. Foxer, he decides to delay his third TC in favor of a faster starport. With this, so he can get into faster Banshee production as well. Maybe even BC. Oh my god, my apologies. 2 base all in. I was focusing on the 1-1-1. Technically, it is a 1-2-1 with a second factory before starport. Foxer is looking to mech it up in quite an aggressive fashion as well. Hellions are amassing. I'm curious if he's going for blue flame with this, because there's going to be a tech lab on that second factory, or hurricane engines. Hellions, they do skirt around towards the left hand side. Yep, blue flame is on the way. Remember, blue flame, they do additional damage to light units now. They were buffed with links, they do flood in. No! The wall's not a wall, the wall was wide open. Hellions getting surrounded. They do pull away in time, but one Hellion goes down, and there's one Hellion left, and it's going to fall as well. Massive pickoff. Foxer out of position. He's racing back home, and Lings, they get how many SCV kills? 4, 5, 6 SCV kills, even more. Getting up to, 7. Not quite 8. Nice worker drilling there from Foxer. Could have been so much worse. But that's still 7 SCVs. The Hellions get forced back home. Checking the vision here of Shin. He did get eyes on the 1-1-1. He even saw the factory as well. He saw everything. And what does he do with that information? Roach Warren. Roach Warren is on the way. Roach is on the horizon here. Roaches are exactly what Shin needs. He's spreading creep in his bases. Getting his third up and running. Shin has seen everything he needs to, and he has delayed the economy of Foxer. Aye. Foxer still amassing Hellion. You can see Shin getting ready with his SimCity. Ready to wall off that natural. And things are looking quite dire here for Foxer. Does rotate towards the left-hand side. Trying to find a way into the natural. But there are queens in position. And they will wall off. Foxer looking for a way in. Unable to find one. I don't think I've ever seen blue. Oh no. Este Kilo Delta in the chat. You're lucky. You've never experienced mech. I wish I was you. I'm envious, Pappy. I'm envious. Not like this. But yeah, it's a little bit more of a niche style, especially at the highest level of play, specifically mech, I mean. As Foxer is committing into Banshee production as well. Third TC was heavily delayed, so Foxer, he is quite behind economically. He needs these Hellions to do damage. Doesn't need them to deal damage. So far they are denied. Hellion run back here towards the right hand side. 6 drones go down. Oh my god. He gets 6, he gets 10. In a matter of seconds, 10 drones get roasted. 13. Oh my god. Again, it only takes 2 volleys. Crazy. 14. 14 drones go down. All it takes is 1 misstep. And Foxer wreaks havoc. Gets 2 more drones here in the main. 16 drones in total. Not bad. But again, the downside here, even though we got so many drone kills, the reality is that Shin still has a worker lead. As I say that, no detection, no spore. Delayed Banshee harass, gets in. 20 drone kills, almost 21. Spore repositioning. 21 workers go down, but Folksher is still in 2 bases. Like that's kind of the big factor here, is that was impressive economic damage, but Folksher, he was committed. He had to do more. Tank goes down, Roach counterattack does arrive, doesn't bust into the natural. But Folksher desperately needs his 3rd. And he's still making more Banshees. Hyperflight Rotor's on the way, he's going into Banshee speed. Folksher is going mech with Banshee support. This is a bit of an older style. This was very popular, I would say, last year, like early 2023. So it's been a while. Has been a while. That was back when I think that was back during the Cyclone patch. No, before that, when Banshees were buffed. We saw players like Ryung and Maru embraced it at the time. As Folksher has gained map control, we do see Shin responding with Aspire, going to Muta or Corruptor. And thankfully, Folksher, he's aware. He does scan, and he's turtling up. He's turtling up, walling up with more tanks. Thor production has begun. Bearing in mind that Thors are going to be a little bit more potent against at least Mutas. The Corruptors have arrived. They're hunting down the Banshees. Nicely done. 3 Banshees do get caught out. And Shin, he's not going into Muta. He's switching into Hydras. A Hive is on the way as well. Shin is transitioning. Shin is taking. He's taking up, going for the gold. I mentioned, of course, before that if you gain map control, this gold base is going to be a very, very valuable expansion. Shin even going for the 3rd. CC's under fire. Do we have any Thors? Actually, there are some Cyclones. They get in position. They will save the expansion. CC is saved. Corruptors back up. Shin getting up to 90 drones. Is now maxing out. And he's getting ready for his push. Now, pushing into this setup is not going to be easy. You can see here, these ramps are brutal. Likewise, the tank lines are going to be quite solid as well. So it won't be an efficient fight for Shin. But his goal is to at least deny an expansion and break one of these bases. Thors are setting up. Files, they do take down at least one of the tanks. He gets one, is going to get all 3. Does get all 3 tanks. Not bad. Again, denying any kind of mining. That is all that Shin needs to do. Heli run by is cleaned up. More spine crawlers on the way. And Shin, he is taking into Broodlords. Again, it makes sense against mech. Not just against mech, but because of this map layout. I mean, again, this base, you saw how exposed it is. I mean, even to just Roach Ravager. Imagine Broodlords. Imagine Broodlords on the other side of this wall. I don't see how Folksher could actually maintain this position without Viking. And he is beginning Viking production. But defending the center base, specifically against Broodlords, I mean, even against, imagine Lurkers, same thing. Like ranged Lurkers here, laying siege upon the mineral line. And pick your poison. Both would be effective. Speaking of, here come the Broods. Folksure thankfully is expanding elsewhere, but yeah, the Broodlings have arrived. They take down the tanks, Thors, they're far back. Vikings pushing in, here come the Yoinks! Into the spores! Not bad. Spores, they pop off. We have a couple of Hydras on the ground as well. And he denies the center base. Oh, getting another tank, yoinking the Thors. Gets one, gets two, gets three. Three Thors go down. Again, very nice pickups. And folks are forced to expand elsewhere. This base, once again, though, is very exposed. The rocks are being knocked down. It's very wide open. Setting up a siege line here is not going to be easy. So despite folks are attempting to play mech here, we can see how abusable some of these bases are. Like, this is not the map for it. I mean, even Whispers of Gold would fare a little bit better than this when it comes to turtling. Thor goes down. Shanna does rotates, transferring SVs that get caught out by the roaches. And Shinny's going for the southern expansion. And there's no saving this. No shot. Yoinks come in, they catch the Thors. 3 Thors go down. Yeah, and he just snowballs out of control. GG gets called, and Shin will take game number 1. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Shin will take the first game. Again, I'm not opposed to the overall style that Folksure was attempting, especially considering the buff to Blue Flame Hellions. Like, we saw him deal so much economic damage. He was able to catch 16 SCVs, but there are a couple of things to bear in mind when it comes to the early game damage. The most important one, of course, is that Folksure was very committed on 2 bases. Folksure's third was heavily delayed. It was a very late third base for Folksure. So because of that, even though he dealt all that damage, he was still down like 15 drones. He was still down 15 workers compared to Shin's setup, just because of how aggressive and how committed Folksure was. Likewise, as we saw, that map as well had not necessarily the best map to try to play mech on. As we saw, whether it's the center goal base, whether it's the 4th base as well, just defending a 4th base on this map feels very difficult, and it goes both ways. If he played a more active bio tank style, I do see a world where the Zerg player likewise is struggling to defend a 4th, whether it's the goal base, whether it's the 4th base instead, that's again a little bit more exposed. I do see that just being a little bit more difficult, depending on who's being the aggressor and who isn't. But here we go, we're working our way towards game 2 on Snowpiercer. Getting into game 2. I only played Direct Strike in SC2. Fair enough. Fair enough, Pappy. Fair enough. As we're getting into game 2 and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Snowpiercer, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is Shin. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Blue Terran player. For Berserker Esports, the American Terran, it is Folksure. Go. Alright, gonna be loading in. And I'm curious how Folksure will approach this game this time. You know, I don't think he's necessarily just one to mech every game. We have seen him embrace bio. So I'm curious if Folksure will mix it up. Again, loading into Snowpiercer. What I will say is that these bases are much more secure as opposed to the previous map. I mean, again, this is not as extreme as Ultra Love. I do think that the extreme of turtling, Ultra Love is kind of the best example of that. Like, there are so many choke points and so many rocks and so many towers to knock down as well. That's also why I feel like it's just a little bit odd that they wanted to, you know, stop turtling, but they bring in Ultra Love, which is crazy. I feel like this is maybe a middle ground. What I will say is that this 4-base setup does feel quite secure, but the ramps and the entry points into the expansions are quite wide and quite open, so potentially you can still be aggressive and deny the 4th expansion. Likewise, there is this center area as well, where you can kind of rotate between the bases and poke in. Like, the 4-base setup here is quite spread out. So a turtling player would be spread quite thin on these 4 bases. But that is merely speculation. We have yet to really embrace that kind of setup here on Snowpiercer, so we'll see. We'll see how easy or how difficult it is to turtle in this map. Ah, the GG! SCV with the spray. As the Reaper moves out. Let's move out across the map. Is going to be threatening that natural. Shin so far just droning. Shin is going for a delayed 3rd expansion. Interesting. Bear that in mind. Greens are amassing. Zoning away the Reaper. Oh, doesn't get the tumor. And yeah, Shin just playing very safe. Playing very safe. He does pull out of gas. Takes down the Reaper. Massive pickoff. Shin going for a more delayed 3rd expansion. Just staying on 2 bases a little bit longer instead. And we do have our answer here when it comes to the build for Folkster. It is going to be a 3rd CC before Starport. It's going to be 3 CC, 2-1-1, as that is a 2nd Rax on the way. So this time, forget about the mech that we saw in Game 1. Here, it's going to be Bio. It's going to be a double medevac 16 Marine push here from Folkster. Now, because it is 3cc, a 3cc variation, it means that there are going to be some Hellions to support as well. This can lead into a Hellbat push if we throw down an Armory. Regardless, there's going to be 2 to 4 Hellions here for Folkster, and building up into his Bio. So Folkster, he does shift gears, taking a very different approach. And we'll be moving out. Does rotate. Does rotate, catches an Overlord, supply blocking Shin. Shin does at least get a full scout. He's aware of the 2-1-1. Is aware. And Shin has actually been quite greedy here. I mean, I say that he is going for the lair. Hasn't gone for any earlier Baneling Nest. From here, I would imagine going into double Evo chamber, just running up. Just going to be droning, no big reaction so far. And there we go, safety Baneling Nest. So Shin's just settling in. He's happily settling in, spreading his creep. This is one of the downsides here of a 2-1-1, is that because you don't make many Hellions, it means that the Zerg player is free to spread creep. And that's a lot of creep. A lot of creep is being spread here. Shin has control of his side of the map. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Folkster to make this medevac push, get damage done. A lot of pressure on the Terran as the Marines do move out. So let's move out, catches an Overlord. Doesn't get much more done. Shin, he's ready for it. Moves forward with the Queens. And again, the creep threat is still looking quite solid. Folkster hasn't really been able to do too much. The medevac takes a lot of hits as well. And he has to back off. Now, again, he wasn't all in by any means. Remember, it was a 3rd CC before Starport, so economic. He's on a solid economy. He's muling. He's keeping up with the economy of Shin. But the map control is what's really concerning to me. When it comes to this bioaggression, you do need to shut down these tumors. But Folkster hasn't been able to. With the surround. Shuts down the Marines. Folkster gets 1 tumor. But 3 more get thrown down. And Shin, he's very quickly gaining map control. Very quickly. The creep is getting halfway across the map. Now, this is a very large map, I am noticing, so despite the control that Shin has currently, Folksher is still quite safe back at home. And we'll see if he sets up for a 4th. Nice target firing. Get some Bailings. Getting on top of the tumors as well. Tumors do go down. There's the 4 CC on the way. Folksher building up towards a later game. What I mentioned before, that if Folksher doesn't stop the creep now, it's gonna get out of hand. He needs to be more active. Going for a split push. Meanwhile, Shin embracing Lingbane Hydra. Shutting down some of the Marines. Not really catching any tumors. Getting very low. Folks has to back off. And it does very quickly feel like Shin's getting out of hand. He's soon going to max out. Shin is on 81 workers. He's getting a 5th expansion. And Shin will soon max out. I mean, the supplies are still quite close for the time being, but that's just because Shin has been droning. Shin has been droning, and soon that's all going to come into play. Second medevac goes down as well. Oh, Fox not paying attention. That's 2 medevac kills. Marines get chased down. Nice drop towards the north, though. Takes down all the active tumors. Lurker Den is on the way. Hive as well. Shin is looking quite comfortable. Because Fox has been struggling with all the creep, the mineral lines have been left safe and sound. So no drone kills, no economic damage. As Foxer is establishing his 4th. But this southern expansion is still looking quite exposed, though. There's not really much SimCity to work with. But Foxer actually pushing out. Okay. He's going to be pushing. Not gonna lie, Snowpiercer reminds me a little bit more of... What map am I thinking of? But it's been a while since we've had a map set up quite like this, where it is quite wide open here in the center. With the high ground, though. Am I thinking of Everdream? No. But the other one. As Folksher, he denies creep, he's gaining ground. Likewise, going for a double drop towards the south. Taking down a lot of tumors. Shin, his Ling Run might get scouted. Folksher is aware he does respond. Getting in position. Oh, my God. Folksher, calm down. Nice control. Does react in time. Shuts down the Bailing. Shin is max, but so is Folksher. And I do think he has done enough. What I mean by that is that the creep is retreating here towards the north. Shin is going to be collapsing in. It does send it. Takes down the tanks from the low ground. The positioning, though, with those tanks on the high ground. Folksher trades well. I think this does remind me of Everdream. Like, this setup is so good. Tanks are being cleaned up, though. Shin takes the fight. Creep is receding quite heavily here, but is expanding towards the south. Towards the bases of Folksher. Folksher is holding his own. As Folksure attempts to expand. I feel like the 5th base is going to be more difficult to hold on to. But he's going for it. Dance with the army. Double drop towards the south. Shin does have something Bane in position. Not the best trades for Shin. Oh, the pickup micro takes out all the lings. Likewise, northern expansion is denied. That's a kill, not a cancel on the hatchery. Very nice pickup here by Folksure. Gets the expansion. Gets his 5th. Something that we are lacking here that I would love to see is sensor towers, especially because Folksure is being spread thin. Like, again, this 5A setup is very spread out. And Folksure is relying quite heavily here on just, you know, being in position for these run-bys. Nidus Storm is done. Shin looking for a Nidus into the main. Speaking of, there's a Nidus. Nidus is on the way. Folksure, thanks to his activity, he's actually getting his 5th base fully operational. And he's holding his own. Holding his own here against Shin. Shin setting up the surround. Folksure has to get the hell out of here. Nice target firing. He does pull away. Shin's still building up a massive bank. Nidus Storm into the main. Changelings have arrived, but there's a tank in position, and the Nidus is going to be shut down. But here comes the Ling Bane towards the planetary. And Folksure is not quite here. No tanks, no army. Was in the medevac. Again, most of the tanks are set up here towards the south. Folksure is having a hard time spreading out his army. Does get into the mineral line though. Gets 5 drones. Gets 6 workers in total, but not quite worth it. Nidus Storm does finish. Lurkers, they get into the natural. And a backup Nidus is on the way. Shin, he has the ramp. At least he's trying to hold on to the ramp. Down to 3 lurkers. Snipes are brutal. Nidus is denied. A nice cleanup here out of Folksure. Very nicely done. Loses 1 tank, but that was well worth it for the Terran. Takes down all the lurkers. Denies the Nidus. Shin trying to reinforce once again. Folksure out of position. Again, he's just got so much supply tied up here towards the south. It's not helping. As Folksure does at least save the CC. Re-expanding Sensor Tower finally on the way. Let's go. Does rotate with the tanks. The creep was never respread here towards the top side of the map. So Shin isn't actually set up here. Folksure has potential. He can try to break out. Speaking of, Folksure does push forward. Shin trying to keep up. Nah, Lurker goes down. Oh, the snipes! Snipes going up. Folksure barely will save most of his ghosts. All of them go down. But does save most. So he is just trying to keep up with Shin. Nidus Storm towards the natural. Once again, Folksure doesn't get eyes on this. We'll clean it up. So far, so good. I do really appreciate all the points of elevation on this map as well. Like, despite the fact that it's quite wide open, it does give a lot of pushing power, a lot of really good tank positions as well. It feels like an older map. Like, I miss it, Papi. I miss it. Ah. Let's go. Oh my god. He pushes into lurkers. Bleeds out 3 ghosts. Ay. He's being active though. Clearing up a lot of tumors. He's being cleared up. Foxer pulling back. Shin gaining ground, but hey, the tanks that were left in position, and they're ready for this. They're more than ready. Shin, he cannot push in, not into this position. Likewise, double Nidostorm into the main. There goes in position. Oh, lurkers, they try to pop out. Bold move, not going to be worth it. That's going to be 3 lurkers, 4 lurkers going down. Shin looking for another way in. Now, as opposed to the previous map, I don't think Broodlords are going to be anywhere near as effective. The terrain here isn't anywhere near as abusable, I will say. There is a Spire on the way, and the longer this game goes on, the more likely it is that we do have to embrace Broodlords. So Shin is getting ready for it. As the Greater Spire is done, and he's working on those +1 upgrades. On top of that, the creep is lacking. Does have to get there. Shin's still looking for another way in. I'm not opposed to Shin staying on Lingbane Hydro Lurker, but again, because of the tank lines, because of the ramps as well, his main army just hasn't really been able to gain much ground. Likewise, he's been heavily reliant on these Nidus Worms, but they haven't gotten up either. Have not gotten up. Shinny does have a couple of Vipers. If Fox is out of position, Shinny can try to break one of these expansions. Fox is trying to keep up. The Vipers! No! Oh my god, they get a couple of power bombs. Vipers do escape. That was almost massive. The Vipers to get out of there. To escape. Corruptors are on the way. Folks are still trying to be active. Foxer isn't quite ready for Broodlords. I'm a little bit concerned. Once he does realize what's going on, he should be switching into a more Viking or more Thor-heavy composition. Getting into his anti-air. Now it's not yet the time, though. Jesus, the setup here. That's a lot of Spine Crawlers. Oof. Not the best trade from the Terran. Bleeds out some of the ghosts. Snipes from the lurkers. Shin threatens a dive. Doesn't commit. Now we're also entering a really odd game state, and this could just be the win condition for Shin, is the fact that Foxer, he's been on 5 bases for like 10 minutes. Where's the 6th? Right, because of the map control that Shin has had, even though he really hasn't been able to threaten these bases for quite some time, he is up a base. He has every other expansion, and I don't really see Foxer taking any other anytime soon. Not with this kind of setup. As a result, Shin has a massive bank. And his goal here might just be to starve Foxer out. As we have a 7 base setup against 5 base Terran. She needs up 2 expansions. And that's what he needs to do, just hold on to these bases. Hold on to these fringe bases. And not let go. I do think that this northern base would have been the more natural expansion for Foxer. but it has taken him quite some time to move in with these tanks. Liberation has arrived. This base is going to go down, but Shin, he's already mined quite a bit from this. Finally, the space will fall, and Foxtree can maintain himself. Meanwhile, Nidostorms are finishing up. No! They finish in the main! Foxtree, he might deny an expansion, but what about the production? Finally, Shin, he has done it. Busts into the main base, takes down the tanks. And he's going to lay siege upon the production. Foxtree's racing back home. He turns everything around, which means Shin, he can reestablish. Hatchery's on the way. And sometimes all it takes is one. In this case, it was three. It was 3 Nidostorms. Jesus. Ghost Academy goes down. Yo, I forgot about that upgrade. Frenzy. Or Dash. I completely forgot. So did Shin, apparently. He was playing Lingbane Hydra for 22 minutes. He's like, oh yeah, there's an upgrade. True. Fun fact, he's getting the Hydra Dash, but he's already switching into Broodlord. So wait, I don't think we're going to see it, to be honest. We'll see. But to be fair, I forgot about it as well. True. What's it called in game? Do they settle on the name? We'll find out on the right-hand side. Shell switch. Frenzy. Okay. They're calling it Frenzy. Which is the co-op name of that visual. Frenzy, that sounds crazy. What does it do? It makes you a little bit faster for less than a second. Oh, okay. Here we go. Shin collapsing in. Massive lightning clouds on the tanks. Takes down all the Liberators. And Shin, he will just collapse and clean up this army. Massive connections with the Banelings, takes down all the ghosts. And now it is time. Oh, we get the dash. Dashes towards the end. And show us the Broodlords. Show us, Pappy. We're ready. Gets a CC. Corruptors, they pull back. And there it is. Oh my god. 25 Broodlords on the way. And that's going to be the nail in the coffin. I mean, Shin, he does reestablish the base, even though Foxtree knocked this down because of the Nidostorms. It forced him all the way back, and Foxtree did not expand. He did not take the expansion. Jesus, he's got 48 SCVs at this one base. Again, Foxtree's out of money. He's out of resources. He's mined out here towards the south, towards here, towards the north as well. He does have a couple of patches at the natural somehow. Oh my god, but here come the Broods. They knock down the planetaries. The mass repair is coming in. Let's go. Jeez, so many SCVs. And the Broodlords, they will shut this down. I mean, whether it was going to be Broodlords or even just another Remax on Lurker, there's just nothing to stop Shin. And Foxtree at this point is just going for a counterattack. He's all in. Like, it's kind of weird to say that, considering that Foxtree has a bank, but the reality is that Foxtree, he has no economy. He can't really maintain himself in a longer game state. He lost a lot of production earlier, and he has to push in. It's all or nothing for the Terran. We'll take down an expansion. Shin, he responds with his ground army. Broodlords, they turn back around. Nice Fungal's just slowing down the bio. Broodlords, they're coming back home. Oh, going for the neural. The tanks get neural. Massive lightning cloud as well. You don't often see Banelings take down tanks like that, but I mean, hey, it works. Cleaning up the final tank. Shinny backs off. Broodlords, they come in from behind. And what is the anti-air? Mainly Marine. No more ghosts. No ghosts, no Vikings. Just man with gun. Broodlords, that will chase him down. Jesus. the Broodlord shots, they're so fast. Jesus, oh my god. And yeah, the Broodlords will overwhelm. And again, unfortunately, folks, he was just never ready for a Broodlord switch. He didn't really have the economy set up for it either. The production was on fire, so he has no ghosts. He just has no answer. It's just Marine tank. He has a Lair Tech army here. So the Broodlords will overwhelm. Specifically, what's crazy that we're seeing here is actually the attack rate of the Broodlord. Like previously, it will take longer to charge up a shot for the Broodlord, and now it is so much faster. That's why the attack rate looks so quick. And Foxer, he burned through his bank. He burned through his bank. Like again, the Broodlings, sorry, they get sent so quick. It's like the Broodlords, they're like pegging the Broodlings. Fungal does connect. The chain Fungals even, and again, it's just purely Marine. And pure Marine against any kind of hive-based army, it's going to struggle. This Foxtree has to get the hell out of here. Gets an expansion. More bases falling. And Foxtree is just going for one final push. One last hurrah across the map. And again, I did want to praise Foxer because he was able to hold his own for most of this game. I was very impressed by Foxer. But as we saw, there was that one critical moment when Shin, he got into the main base. He was able to pull off those Nidus Worms. If you remember, that coincided with Foxer killing this northern expansion. And Foxer was never able to actually establish a new base, never got a 6th base up and running because of the Nidus Worm. It dragged him back home, it bought time, and allowed Shin to reestablish himself and get ready for that Broodlord transition as well. But again, until then, I was very impressed by Foxer. Did play well. Gets the Ultra Cavern. Moving out, getting into mineral lines, drones are falling. Oh, gets the yoink. Shin with the abduction. Even taking the bases here of Foxer. I don't even know if this is worth it, just because there's so little to mine, but it's fine. Just getting another expansion. Foxer just doesn't have much left. Oof. As Vikings have it the field, there's no anti-air. True. The Vikings, they can pop off. Eventually. I mean, that's still 25 Broodlords. GG gets called, and Shin will take the series at 2-0. GG. GG, well played, Shin. He will advance on to the semifinals, but a shout out to Foxer for holding his own for as long as he did. Again, I was very impressed by Foxer's play. He was able to do a great job when it comes to being active, denying creep, and keeping up with the rotations of Shin, shutting down the Nidus Worms as well, time and time again. But we saw that it was like the 5th or 6th or 7th wave of Nidus Worms that finally got up and running. Lurkers, they busted into the main base, they camped the production, they forced a big reaction out of Foxer, and that was the first kind of domino falling in favor of Shin. He was able to snowball out of control from there. Until then, though, like, Foxer was playing well. GG. GG, well played. Hope that Foxer is able to take from that, learn from that, and grow from that as well. Look forward to seeing more Foxer in the coming weeks as we are getting ready for our next series. Oh my god. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back yourselves. We have some updates. We have some results. I'm very shocked. Bjorn did take down Maples, but Maples took a game. That's crazy. That is insane. Maples, he took a game off of Beyond, forced the ace match. Likewise, Go went to the ace match against Estrella. More back and forth in that PvP. Clem versus Estrella is currently ongoing. Beyond versus Shin is about to begin. Oh boy. GG, well played. So we have our next series. It is going to be Beyond and Shin. They face off once again. If you are maybe a little bit newer to the tournament, to the online tournament scene, then maybe you'd be a little bit unfamiliar. But Beyond and Shin, they have been facing off very often, very frequently in Wardy TV Mondays, in the Stego Mondays, Sparkling Tuna Cup, Nation's Royal Tussle. They face off on a weekly basis. They've become kind of new rivals here in the off season of EPT. They are very active players, and they go back and forth. They trade series here. Shin has been looking a little bit more dominant recently, but when I say that, I'm talking about like the last week. I do feel like this is going to be very close and very back and forth. I'm hoping for an ace match. Regardless of who wins, I'm hoping for a game 3. We'll see how this turns out. We'll see how this does turn out. As the videos are done, and we're jumping into game 1. Alright, jumping in. Meanwhile, we'll need a moment here, so we're going to be going on a very short break, and then we'll be back very soon with our next game. See you soon. Okay, and we're back. Again, very short break. Very fast with our vetoes, our players were, and we're jumping into Whispers of Gold for game 1. Let's go. Jumping into Whispers of Gold. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Beyond. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is Shin. And if you're in the chat, predictions now open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series. Best of luck. Best of luck in the chat with those predictions. Again, Shin has been looking a little bit more in form, at least when it comes to the standard map pool and the current patch. But now that we're getting into the PTR, I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of factors coming into play here when it comes to the new balance patch and also the new maps as well. So I do think that this is going to be harder to call. There are basically other factors at play, factors that we're not too familiar with when it comes to the patch and when it comes to the maps. So best of luck. Best of luck with your gambling, with your predictions. Here we go. Oh, shout out to Toppin in the chat. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Toppin. Let's go. Did they buff the Broodling too? The Broodling does last longer, from my recollection. I think it's 10 seconds longer or something like that. Hold on, I'll double check. How many seconds was it? Let's see. Oh wait, no, sorry, not 10 seconds. That'd be crazy. 10 HP. That's it. I knew it was 10 something. The Broodlings, they have 10 extra HP, which didn't really come into play in that game. Just because there was never really a threatening force. Like once the Broodlords arrive, they just snowball out of control. So it's a 10 HP increase, not 10 seconds. Like 10 seconds is a long time. So my apologies on that one. But HP. As we are settling in, it's going to be a rack to expand into factory. So far, standard setup here out of Beyond. Likewise, Shin going hatch gas pool as well. So far, so good. Likewise, actually, Björn going for a 1-1-1. Okay, much more assertive, much more aggressive build here by the Terran player, going for the starport before the CC, so very aggressive. From here, Björn, he can go into something like a Hellbat-oriented push. He can go into faster Banshees for Banshee Hellion into Hellbat. He can go into potentially BC production with a Fusion Core behind this as well. We'll see exactly what direction Björn takes us in. Meanwhile, Shin throwing down a very early Roach Warren. Oh my god! Roach Warren has been placed. I mean, Whispers of Gold, I do think is a good map for a Roach All-In. We were talking about this earlier, but the rush distance by ground is quite short, especially if you knock down these rocks. If the rocks get knocked down, I mean, even without knocking them down, but if they do get brought down, the rush distance by ground towards the natural waste of your opponent does get reduced quite significantly. And the Roaches are going to be on the way. Meanwhile, Björn, no Reaper. That's why. That's why Björn, he skipped the SCV scout. No SCV scout, no Reaper scout either. Björn is playing completely in the dark, and that is why Shin is embracing the Roaches. That's going to be 7 Roaches on the way, and Björn has no idea. As he's moving out, there's the army. We mentioned before with this 1-1-1 that a Hellbat push is very much so viable, and there it is. So it's going to be Banshee Hellbat for Björn, but he's running into Roaches. I do have to favor Shin here. Do have to favor Shin. As Marines, they get dropped in towards the main. Queens are in position. These are vanilla Marines, bear that in mind. They do go for the first Queen. One Queen goes down. Massive pickup. Queen does fall, and Shin, the Roaches, are not at home to defend. He's moving out across the map. He's pushing instead. Drones under fire. Roach is revealed. The medevac does fall. Shin has to pull away. And back at home, what is it to defend? Nothing. There's nothing back at home. Hellions, they do get into the mineral. Oh my god! The Hellions, they get past. 15 drones go down. Shit is gonna lose everything, and eventually the Banshee will clean up these Roaches. The Roaches that were stuck in the depots. Björn, he can pull this off. Roaches are denied entry into the main. They get, what, 1 SCV. They need to get into the main base. As 19 workers go down, Shin, his economy is crippled. And he's all in. Shin, he's completely all in. And he's not breaking through. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, he's down to 4 Roaches. The Banshee going ham. Gets another Roach. 3 Roaches left. 2. And Björn holds. Björn holds. Björn has a massive worker lead. He has mules. 3rd CC's on the way. And Shin, he's in a brutal position. He's in a brutal position at this point. Like, I was favoring him initially, but that was before the Hellions bypassed the Roaches. If the Hellions were at home to defend, then I would have favored Shin. But the Hellions were out on the map. They got how many drone kills? 22! 22 drones going down. And Shin was already committed. At this point, I mean, there's no lair. There's no lair. There's minimal queens, as queens were going down to the drop. And Shin is hurting. Shin is hurting desperately here. Björn moving out. There are spores in position. There's a spore in each mineral line. But the Banshees, they can always camp the area in between the bases. Or even just pick away at the fringe drones. Yeah, they catch the transferring workers. 1, 2, 3 drone kills. Aye. Not like this. 4th drone kill. Oh god. Oh god. Oh no. 7, 8 drones go down. 9 worker kills even. And he's not done. Nowhere close. It's 10. And a queen. And even though Björn wasn't able to embrace his Hellbats, I mean, it's perfectly fine. Did more than enough with the Hellions. And where does Shin go from here? I would imagine it has to be an all-in. I would imagine like a 3-base, 6-6 drone all-in here with Roaches and Ravagers. That would make the most sense. Shin, I don't think he can macro out of this. I don't think he can go for a longer game state. And we'll see if Shin can make that work and recover. Now, what I will say is that this third that Björn has taken is very exposed. You can attack from the left, from the north, even from the south as well. It is a very vulnerable expansion. So that Roach All-In can pop off. It can get damage done if Bjorn is too greedy. If Bjorn is too greedy, if he throws down, you know, more expansions, but you can see that Bjorn's being active. He's not resting on his laurels. Is moving out. And Shin needs time. Now you can see Shin, he's getting up to 3 base saturation, 64 drones. Double lever chamber for double upgrades, but Bjorn has arrived, and Shin is not ready for this. He's not ready, Pop. He's being caught with his the pants are down. Gas guys are fulls, hatcheries under fire. And from here, Bjorn is snowballing out of control. He does get a kill on the expansion. Does get a kill, does threaten, I mean, the roaches. Shin trying to expand elsewhere. And Bjorn backs off. I appreciate this. He just backs off. He doesn't overextend. Pulls back home just in case. And from here, Bjorn just has to play it safe. Just has to play it safe. Secure his third. Get a fourth. 4 CCs on the way. And Shin just has to hope that Bjorn overextends. There we go. it's not going to happen. GG gets called. There's no final fight. And Bjorn will take game number 1. Whew. GG. Bjorn does take the first game here. Again, if Shin was initially more defensive with his initial roaches, if he was staying back at home waiting for the Hellion move out, then he would have been fine. But as he moves out, Hellions, they bypass the roaches. We had Marines in the main, Hellions at the natural, and Shin, he was bleeding out SCVs, sorry, bleeding out drones so quickly, and his own roach push just didn't achieve much. Did not achieve much in the end. The roaches, they got like, what was it, 5, 6 SCVs? 6 SCVs and nothing else. And with that, Bjorn has a lead. Bjorn takes the lead, and now we're loading into game 2. Going to be loading into ley lines. Oh boy. Use a supply from the sky. I mean, that's not really necessary. Again, I think we spoke about this at the time, but it feels mainly applicable to something like a Ling Flood, less so roaches. But we haven't seen it yet. True. Hopefully we will eventually. As we are getting into our second game of the series, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Bjorn. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. For Gaiman Gladiators, it is Shin. There we go. I believe spawning into ley lines. Ley lines a little bit more akin to something like Ultra Love, where here on ley lines, now this is where we get some choke points, some ramps, some narrow choke points as well. A much more defendable map in the map pool. This is where I would favor Bjorn if he does go for a more macro defensive setup, and where I would not really favor an aggressing player. So I don't really see Shin going for an early Roach Warren, even if he does scout, you know, a lack of Reaper. If there's no Reaper scout or SCV scout, but we'll see. We shall see. As the Overlord does push across the map. There are, of course, these center base locations with high yield gas geysers. 2 of them, actually. But again, because of the terrain, because of the cliff faces and the ramps, I do see a little late game potential here, and a lot of turtle play being favored on ley lines. If we can get there. If we can get there. As for now, getting into our queens, joining up. Likewise, Bjorn, once again, Bjorn, he skips the SCV scout and he skips the Reaper scout as well. So no SCV scout, no Reaper, going Marine into Reactor instead. Very greedy play out of Bjorn. But after what happened in the last game, I feel like Shin, he's going to be deterred from throwing down a Roach Warren. Not this time. I wasn't opposed to it in the last game, in game 1. But on this map, I'm less inclined to really embrace something like that. As once again, Bjorn going for the same build, going Rax into Factory into a Starport before CC. This should lead into early Banshee production. We saw last game that Bjorn, he attempted to go into a Hellbat push, which he never was really able to embrace, but he didn't need to. Like, he won the game with his first Marine aggression and with his first wave of Hellions. It was insane. Insane what Bjorn got done. He's doing it again. This time, Shin is taking a different approach. This time, no Roach Warren. Once again, there's that early medevac. We'll keep an eye out for an armory. But for now, it's going to be a Marine drop and a Hellion aggression. And we'll see if Shin can keep up. Speed is on the way. Here comes that drop. Marines towards the main, Hellions towards the natural. And Bjorn does not throw down an armory this time. But he is going into a Liberator. What's important here, this time, no Banshees. No Banshee production. Just Marine drop into Lib. Marines, they, instead of going into the main base, they do go for the front lines. Ling speed does kick in, and the Lings, they shut down these Marines. This time a much cleaner defense by Shin because they didn't rush into Roaches. Hellions, they hit the third. Yeah, one drone. Oh! One drone goes down, but the last one of the Hellions is going to fall. Just barely. Just the one Hellion. Shin pulls away. Scouts the main, and confirms the follow-up. Now, overall, I do want to favor Shin here. A reason why Bjorn has such a worker deficit is, remember, delayed third. This third base is very late for Bjorn because of the early Marine drop. And the Marine drop didn't really do much. Now, the aggression isn't over. Remember, he's going into a follow-up Liberator harass as well. Liberator's moving out. We still have some Hellions. We still have some Marines. But overall, this opener was lackluster. This very similar opener last game basically won the game for Bjorn in game 1. Here in game 2, more than anything, it kind of sets him behind. So Shin, he doesn't make the same mistakes. Does learn from the first game. Did lose one drone, but just the one. Queens are keeping up. The Liberator does nothing. Force back. And Shin holds. Shin holds, getting to his Bailey nest, double lever chamber, double upgrades. Shin is looking a lot more comfortable and a lot more in control. And the pressure's on Bjorn. The pressure's on the Terran. Is taking a third, is working towards his bio, of course. Stim, +1. Building up Marine tank. Bjorn needs more. He's moving out with what little he has. Stim is about to finish up. Gets a couple of tumors. Jesus, this setup is giving me like Eternal Empire vibes. Well, as Shinny gets us around, a bit of a late pickup here from Bjorn. Alas, he has to leave some units behind. Not enough room in the medevac. But I'm referring to this cliff face over the expansion. Or the high yield expansion as well. As Shin, he shuts down the drop, he pulls back, getting another base, spreading his creep. So far, so good. He keeps up with the Ling harass. Cleans up some of the tumors. Bailing's getting caught out. Shin in a bit of trouble here. Just waiting for Bailing speed. 10 more seconds. Queens are coming forward. Shin splitting up his army. And He's getting ready for the surround. Does Shin have enough? He should. It is just the one tank. And Beyond backs off. He just backs up, gets out, pulls away. He does recognize how little he has. Shin finding the drop. Will collapse in. No major engagement. Instead of Beyond committing up any of these ramps, he's just denying creep. We spoke about it earlier, but these areas are so defendable. There are just so many ramps, so many choke points. Up! Even Beyond having a hard time coming in. Ooh, big baiting connections. Bailings, they do connect. And GG gets called as Beyond does not gain any ground, and Shin will tab the series 1-1. GG. Yeah, Beyond just unable to apply enough pressure, doesn't get any damage. On top of that, remember, Beyond, he was very committed. Beyond, he did go for a delayed CC at the start of the game, was hyper committed, and he did not do enough damage. Shin, he was getting up to 80 workers, and he was soon to max out. So Beyond, he saw the writing on the wall. You could definitely argue that Beyond could have played it out to have a fight, but there was a lot working against him. A lot working against Beyond there. GG. GG, well played. And I would imagine that as we load into game 3, that Beyond will stop going 1-1-1. I think he's going to stop going for a delayed expansion. We'll see, though. Because it does put a lot of pressure on the Terran to get damaged. And if they don't, they just fall behind. Do fall behind. Here we go, we're getting into that ace match. And we're getting into Ultra Love. Oh my god. Okay. Similarly to the previous map, a very defendable map as well. A lot of choke points. To the extreme. But a very aesthetically pleasing map. And here we go. We're loading in and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ultra Love. We have the South Korean Terran player, the red Terran representing Shopify. It is Beyond. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is Shin. There we go. Shin going 15-15, going for a very safe opener, going gasless. Makes sense on this map. Does make a lot of sense. As we are settling in. And again, I can't imagine Beyond is going to go 1-1-1 on Ultra Love. No shot. No shot. We'll see. So what I'm referring to, with the opener that Shin is going for, it means that he will most likely delay link speed. As it's going for 15 hatch into... Oh. Never mind. 15 hatch initially, that is true. He will get the hatchery a little bit sooner. But he's going for a gas follow-up instead. Very interesting. Going for the gas geyser into a spawning pool. With this, he can still rush into link speed. I'm curious how this all comes together. As he does prioritize his gas income. Beyond opening up himself. CC first. Jesus. Speaking of being greedy, CC first had a Beyond. Ay. We see this on maps like Radisson Station. There we go. We see this on maps like Radisson Station. We see this on maps like Alkiona as well. These larger macro maps are where you can get away with this. Beyond determines that Ultra Love is also one of those maps as well. So very greedy. Very greedy play here by Beyond. As the Overlord will confirm that the CC is almost finished already. Beyond skips the Reaper, going Marine first. So again, Beyond cutting corners. Cutting a lot of corners this game. So CC first, no SCV Scout, no Reaper Scout, no nothing for Beyond. Even so Marine first into the Reactor. Reactor's on the way. Now the next question becomes, does he go for a starport before CC? I mean, I guess it would make sense to be safe after a greedy start, but I'm not too fond of that idea. Shin going for his third. Hatchery's on the way. Beyond is building up. He's going for the... Oh, never mind. He's going for the starport. Okay. Starport before command center. Very similar build 3 games in a row. Was still CC first, that is true. And oh my god, Shin is ling flooding. 16 lings on the way. That's a lot of lings. Lings are moving out, so ling speed being researched. You can see Shin pulls out of gas. Meanwhile, Byun is potentially setting up for an add-on swap. That is a tech lab on the racks. Starport's on the way into an add-on swap into Banshee play. And here come the lings. Here come the lings for Shin. Does skirt around the edge of the map. Byun, his Hellions are amassing. The Overlord not quite in position, but I'm sure Shin is hoping for a move out. Oh, he just commits. Oh my god. He commits in. And does he get a surround? Byun does react in time, pulls away, shuts down the lings. Lings getting roasted, a couple of SCVs are falling. He gets 2 SCV kills so far, just 2. And this is a better trade for Byun. A third SCV falls. But for how many lings? For 12. 12 lings go down. Now, that is a bit of a give and take. On the one hand, Shin, that wasn't quite worth it, throwing away 12 lings for 3 SCVs. But on the other hand, Byun has yet to expand. There is still no third CC, and this is actually the same build as game 1. It's 1-1-1 Banshee into Hellbats. The armory is on the way. It's going to be a very committed Hellbat push from Byun. Very committed. And he's hoping that maybe Shin cuts corners. What does Shin have? No Roach Warren. There's no Roach Warren. There's no Bailey Nest either. Shin, he's droning up. He's saturating his third, throwing down Spore Crawlers. Only droning up. Shin, is he being too greedy? Now, if the queen count is high enough, Shin, he should still be able to defend and hold on. Despite the low queen count, but how many queens do we have? 7, soon to be 8. 8 queens, only lings. He's saturating his third, making more drones. I don't know if I'm convinced here. Here come the Hellbats. Here comes the push. Byun, he's waddling in. Queens, they do spot this, have to pull away. Lings are in production. Oh, the first queen goes down. Oh, massive hiccup. High energy queen as well. No transfuse. Another queen getting caught out. Oh, 2 queens fall. At the same time, that Banshee does come in to reinforce. But it looks like Byun does not really have enough to reinforce here. I would have assumed he would have moved out with some Marines, but no, the Marines were left back at home. Does get 6 drones. Banshee in the main. Hellbats a push towards the third, but Shin should hold. Shin, he's going to be okay. He defends his third, he deflects the Hellbats. And remember, Byun, this is his third. Like, his third is so late. And because of that, he doesn't do enough. Meanwhile, Lings, they bust into the natural. Oh my god. They only get the 1 Marine. Just the 1. Okay, Shinny backs off. But Shinny's up 20 drones. He's on 3 bases. 4th is now on the way. Byun needed more damage. Like, this, with this Hellbat push, with this build specifically, I feel like Byun was pretty all in, but he didn't commit. He didn't reinforce with extra Marines, didn't hit with stim or anything like that. And Byun, he needs more damage. And she does back up. CC just now finishing at soon to be the 7-minute mark. Byun is building up his army, building up his Marines, his tanks. Alas, Shin has been able, or should be able to overwhelm economically at least, and build up a larger army. Byun is pushing out. He is spotted. Shin, he's amassing Ling Bane. That's 9 Banelings on the way. The Queens are amassing as well. And with the arrival of these Banelings, Shin, he should be able to hold on. And he's setting up with the tank. Decent position. Lings, they're coming in from behind. Shin, he doesn't yet commit. Shin actually going for a counterattack instead. But the wall is solid. And he does reinforce. Shin pulling away, taking a backup expansion. Looks like Shin, he is more than willing to just accept this base going down. But he may not have to. Another Ling run by. Yeah, okay, never mind. He does give up on the base. The base will fall. Shin going for a counterattack with his plenty of Marines back at home. Bjorn defends. This is like basically a 2-base all-in. Like, Bjorn, he finished the third. No orbital. No orbital. He's just rallying everything across the map. How many racks is 5? Yeah, just 2-base all-in. Straight up. It's all or nothing here for Bjorn. Reinforcements have arrived. Bjorn trading very well. Shin collapses in with the Banelings. Does get some okay connections. But so many Banelings go down. Marines, they stand their ground. They force back the Queens. And I'm not so sure if Shin has enough. It's going to be close. Banelings, they do get some connections. Banelings crash in. One tank goes down. Lings, they come in from behind. They get both tanks. There's one tank left. Automas! One tank remains. And Bjorn keeps pushing. Takes down the Queens. Gets on top of the Hydras. Ling reinforces, forcing friendly fire. And Bjorn is so close. He's so close to breaking Shin. So close yet so far. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Shin. Massing up more Lings. Bjorn finally expands, gets his third. No orbital. But he does keep reinforcing. And Shin doesn't really have many Lings to work with. I mean, he also have his Queen, so he's been missing injects. Injects have been missed. More Lings are amassing. Likewise, the creep is barely connecting any bases. There's like 2 active tumors. Bjorn's still in the driver's seat. He can still pull this off. His own third finally getting saturated. Ling Rambai moves out. We'll run into reinforcements. Bjorn, he's ready for this. Lings, they don't get much done. Oof. And Shinny's in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble here. Okay, cannot hold on to this base. Not like this. Yanni gets into the middle line. Bailey's, they do not connect. Again, Shin, he just wasn't expecting a 2-base all-in. I mean, now turned into a 3-base all-in. As the hatchery is going to fall for the second time. 4th base goes down. Bailey's, they bust into the mineral line. We get some decent connections. 8 SCVs full, but that was still a better engage for Bjorn. He just has to keep rotating. Just keep rotating. Keep denying the 4th base over and over again. And Bjorn has a supply lead. It's a massive army supply lead. Ling run by. I mean, Bjorn, he scouts. He spots it. We'll shut it down. And this did go to the ace match, but Bjorn, he was just so aggressive this entire series. Just so committed on 2 bases. Failings, no big connections. The tanks, they pop off. There's almost nothing left, only Hydras. And Bjorn has done it. He's broken the back of Shin. He pushes in towards the 4th, towards the 3rd even. Gets into the middle line, takes down the final Hydra. GG gets called, and Bjorn will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Bjorn, he will take it. He will get his revenge. It was a very intense series, but very unorthodox as well. We don't often see Bjorn go for 2-base all-ins. Like, he was so aggressive this game, and even this entire series. It was very much so in the face of Shin. Shin just wasn't really expecting Bjorn to be this committed and to be this aggressive. Shin, if you remember, he just kept going for Ling Rambais that achieved nothing. There was always just so many Marines, just so much army pinned back at home. The 3rd base was heavily delayed. Shin, he was looking for the 3rd, looking for mineral lines. He never got them. Last, he needed to focus on, you know, the main army at hand, and GG. GG, well played. Bjorn will take it. And do we have the finals ready for us? Oh, not quite. Not quite here, as the upper semifinals is still underway. Clem versus Estrella is still mid-series. Let's have a look at the brackets. Where exactly are we? They're in the ace match. Okay. Clem and Australia, they're in the game 3. Which means up next is going to be the grand finals. We're getting ready for the grand finals. It's going to be either Bjorn versus Clem or Bjorn versus Australia. One of the two. One of the two. Beautiful. Just catching up. Also, a big shout out to Express Karma in the chat. Papi, happened during the last game, but thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Welcome. Hope you had a good time. Shin versus Beyond, not even the finals. This is even legal. True. Oh, hello, the Zerg Lord. Hello. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Fala galera, papi. Take my grapes. Oh, no. They just went through. But we are getting ready for that final game. Sorry, for that final series. That final match. If you want to tune into Clem versus Australia, I believe that is being casted by Dave Testa and by Pig. I believe they're both covering that series. They're currently on Whispers of Gold. And they're still in the early game. It's a very aggressive game, though, I will say that. Also, when it came to that last series, unfortunately, we didn't really get to experience many adjustments from the patch. None at all, actually, when it came to that series. I do think the map pool was more impactful, definitely, when it comes to that best of 3. But a lot of these ZVT changes are quite niche. You know, I'm referring to changes to the Brood Lord or changes to the Thor, for example. I mean, Queens are a little bit more expensive, that is true, but I was still very impressed by how well Shin defended against the Hellbats. Winding it back, remember, that started with a Hellbat push that did not do enough damage. It's the follow-up that really caught Shin with his pants down, with the fact that Bjorn just committed so heavily, going up to 5 Raxes and working towards a tank push that early on, and Shin was not really expecting that out of Bjorn. Was not expecting that. And yo, Australia, he's popping off. He's shutting down Clem. Oh my god. Australia, calm down. Gets all the tanks. Sorry, I'm just watching I'm just watching Clem versus Australia. And we might have an Australia versus Beyond rematch. Let's go. We could get there. Clem is struggling. For now, though, we're going to be going on a break. And when we return, we will have our finals. Either Beyond versus Clem or Australia. It is still a little bit early to call for Clem v Australia. There are definitely things going well for both players. Best of luck. Just catching up. The Leylines creator showed me the iteration that he plans to give ESL to make the map smaller. Apparently people like it, but they just want it to be smaller. Which one is Leylines? Hold on. Well, I'm just looking it up. I totally didn't spell Leylines L-A-Y. Oh, right, that one. Yeah. The ramp map. But for now, again, we're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we will have the grand finals. Take this moment to get some snacks, get some food, get some water, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes with our next series. See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the PiGosaur Monday number 4, the PTR edition. It's been an intense tournament so far. We have our 2 finalists. We're here in the grand finals, and we're here to embrace the best of 5 TBT. If you're in the chat, predictions are now open. Place your bets, because spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran. It is Byun. Not a very easy AI. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the French Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Team Liquid. It is Clem. Here we go. We are settling in again. From this message, you have like 1 minute. You have 1 minute to place your bets. Place them while you can as we embrace this grand finals ley lines. Of course, I mean, we have actually yet to experience the TBT. To be fair, there weren't really many changes to the Terran versus Terran matchup, to much to the dismay of many pro Terran players. I know that many Terrans were expressing their frustrations with the fact that the Raven was not really touched. Mass Raven is very much so a thing in late game TBT, if we can get that far. That's a big if though. We'll see if we can get there. As for now, we are embracing ley lines. This map, of course, as we have seen, can be very defendable, very choky. There's a lot of ramps, a lot of narrow areas, a lot of narrow locations to defend, to secure yourself on 3, 4, 5 bases. So because of that, we could be in a very long one. We could be embracing a long game here. We'll see. We'll see how both Clem and Byun approach this. What I will say, thankfully, is that Byun is a very active, very aggressive Terran player. So most likely won't take a slow approach, as he's going for an economic opener, going for a Rax expand. Single gas opener out of Byun leads into a faster CC. Meanwhile, across the map, Clem going double gas. Double gas means faster factory. From our blue Terran player, it means more delayed expansion. So Clem is playing safe, meanwhile Byun is playing economic. At least initially. As the initial Reapers are moving out, we're going to be scouting for any proxy location at the 3rd. Likewise, Clem doing the same. See in the chat, tournament finished? No, finals time. We're here for the finals. Uno más, papi, uno más. One more series. Oh my god, the Marine is dancing. Este Enki. Ay, ay, ay. El hermoso, papi. As we are settling in, Cyclone production has begun for Clem, a little bit faster again due to the earlier gases, due to the earlier factory. Meanwhile, Byun just chilling back at home, just building up his own Marine Hellion. So far, these more passive starts, at least until Clem builds up a stronger Cyclone count, then he can start being active on the map. Second Cyclone is on the way. Medevac as well for the Cyclone drop. I would say that probably one of the biggest changes in TBT, outside of the maps, of course maps, they do play a very big role when it comes to balance, when it comes to the meta, when it comes to playstyles, what is favored, what is not. Outside of that, the Thor, of course, was adjusted, and because of that, I would say that in TBT, the Thor is a stronger supportive unit when it comes to trying to gain air control and air superiority. Like, that is a big part of TBT, and specifically, I'm referring to mech. So Thor is a little bit more viable kind of in mech versus biotank, or mech versus mech, if we kind of enter that game state. I don't think that's going to be too applicable here. We have seen Clem play mech in TBT before, same with Byun, but it is a rarity. They embrace bio play more often than not. As the medevacs are moving out, again, double Cyclone for Clem, single Cyclone for Byun, and they will pass by each other. Ooh, and Clem does respond, he does boost, does attempt to chase, unloads the Cyclone, gets some lock-ons, nice juggling here out of Byun, does break them. Clem will back up, gets a lock-on the medevac, gets a lot of hits, oh my god. Clem a little bit late to, Byun a little bit late to pull away, at the same time he's distracted, Reaper into the mineral line. And Clem, it looks like he will not get the medevac, just barely not. Byun, he gets away, boosts the hell out of here, does attempt to escape. As again, he was otherwise distracted by the Reaper. But Byun will get out. He will get out, he will defend. Likewise, Clem races back home. And we can just calm things down. We can calm things down. We can breathe. Clem embracing a faster 3rd CC. Byun yet to do the same. Byun still just focusing on his tank production. Raven into disable. Should be into a third CC momentarily. As Björn prepares, he moves out once again. Is moving out across the map. Third CC now on the way for Björn. Is a little bit later than Clem's, but only by a couple of seconds. Not the biggest of differences here. Not the biggest divergence. Likewise, we can see Clem is ready, poised in the main. Björn ready for his own drop. Waiting for a distraction. As we're gonna calm things down. we're gonna be here for a while. Both players are macroing, of course, getting into their third bases, building up their economies, their armies. Jesus, the dead space here outside of the main is huge. I just realized it's massive. Oh my god, you can fit so much here. Something that I'm not quite used to seeing, but okay. Usually this area is thinner, at least, right? It's thick. As Clem moves out, does move out across the map. His move out is spotted by the Hellion. Björn is aware, and Björn, I imagine, will soon pull the trigger and dive into the main. Yeah, there we go. He does boost in, and two Cyclones, they can wreak havoc. SCVs are going to be going down. SCVs are being pulled in. Does have to surround at the same time. Reaper towards the natural, and Clem, he has to commit. Will be forced back for now. 11 SCV kills, massive damage. And Clem, he has to break through with that main army. 13 SCVs going down. Clem, he gets across the map. Björn, he's getting ready. Björn is slightly behind when it comes to army supply. But he has the Ravens. He has the tanks. Clem is in position to deny the third. He's getting his own. And that might just be all he needs. Clem, he may have lost 16 SCVs. That is a lot of workers going down. That is true. But Clem, he has a third up and running. Does siege up the Master Sable? Oh my god, the Master Sable! Björn, he completely shuts this down, cleans up the Marines, gets up with the tanks as well. And Björn, he will take the fight. GG gets called. Björn takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Again, Björn just waiting for the moment that Clem exposes himself. Clem, his pants were down. He moves out across the map, and there was nothing at him to defend. Björn, he gets 16 SCV kills with his Cyclone and Reaper harass, and he forced the all in. He forced the all in out of Clem. Clem, he was caught out in the open. He wasn't quite able to achieve much with his main army. The disables were brutal, and Björn takes game 1. Björn takes the lead in the series. Again, a very decisive game 1 there as well. Did mention before, of course, that dead space outside of the main is huge, and Clem wasn't fully aware that there was a drop ready to go in. Was not aware that Björn was in position. And with that, GG. First game is in the books. And now we're getting ready for game number 2. Game 2 is going to be on Whispers of Gold. As a reminder, as decisive as game 1 was, I mean, this is a best of 5. Best of 5, plenty more games ahead of us, plenty more games to come. And it was Clem just being caught out and just not ready for any kind of drop play to hit his mineral lines. He was very committed with his move out. I don't see that happening too often in this series. So here we go. We are getting into game number 2. Heading into that second game. No gold base on Whispers of Gold. What's going on? God damn it. The map is lying to us. Ah. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Shopify Rebellion, leading the series 1-0. It is Björn. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the French Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Team Liquid, down in the series, but it was only game 1. Still plenty more games ahead of us. It is Clem. We go. Whispers of Gold does have a very large main, as you can see here. It's a very large main base, prone to drop play, prone to harass, but hello. Clem, as he does move out with an earlier SCV scout. Curious where we are headed and what the plan is, as he is going to be hiding the SCV here towards the left-hand side. And it looks like we're setting up for a proxy. One ranks back at home and one ranks across the map. So it's going to be 2 ranks Reaper here for Clem. And Beyond, for the time being, is unaware. It looks like Beyond is going for an economic opener. He's going for a Rax expand. Single gas geyser for the Red Terran player. Ay, ay, ay. So this is ideal for Clem. So far, so good. As Beyond is planning to take a faster expansion. And Clem is looking to punish that. Now again, this isn't the most committed build of Clem. Like, this isn't designed to kill. This is designed to just take an economic lead early on. Potentially delay the CC, pick off some SCVs, catch the Reaper, deal some early game damage, and then transition from there. Meanwhile, Bjorn playing it safe. Okay, I like this. I mean, Bjorn, no SCV scout. No SCV scout, no Reaper scout either. Like, Bjorn, he's in the dark, goes to the CC on the high ground. It does make the CC more defendable. It means that Clem is going to have a bit of a harder time finding damage. It's a very safe play here by Bjorn. Meanwhile, he scouts, he checks the natural, he's checking towards the triangular third. Does he scout the linear third, though? Oh, the answer is no. Doesn't go that far out. Does pull back. Reapers have arrived. They're about to reveal themselves. Marines on the way. Does dive into the main. And Bjorn gets a couple of shots off. Not a bad start for Bjorn. Does have a HP lead in the Reaper versus Reaper. Oh! And he will get it. He does. Yeah, trading 1 for 1. Better trade for Bjorn. And Bjorn holds. Bjorn does hold. Ideally, with this build, Clemmy wants to build up his Reaper count over time, but he already lost 1. Oh, the Hellion. Oh my god, another Reaper goes down. Clemmy's struggling. No, he gets caught out. No, the final Reaper falls. That's 4 Reaper kills. That's insane. 4 Reapers go down, and that was not worth it for Clem. Beyond his CC is done and morphing into an orbital. Clem, his own, is still just now being thrown down. Ay, ay, ay. And Clem, he's racing back, lifts up the racks. And this opener, it did not pay off. Did not pay off for Clem. As Bjorn is now expanding, moving out with his own Hellion. Shouldn't get much done, but we'll confirm that there's at least a CC. So Bjorn is aware of the expansion. He wants to delay, and he will. Kills the SCV. Will pay the price for it, though. It does cost him a Hellion. But any economic damage is that much better for Bjorn, considering how far ahead he is. From here, Bjorn can just settle down. Gets settled down, getting into his own bio production. Again, marine production is in favor of Bjorn, just because, of course, Clem was making Reapers, now he's floating back home. Bjorn going for his drop. Gonna be Marine Cyclone. Additional Cyclones on the way. Bjorn rallying across the map. And can Bjorn break the natural? It's going to be a little bit awkward here, especially if Clem moves out. The medevacs, they do pass by each other. They do scout. They do spot each other. Bjorn has the army lead. Going for the... No, the medevac! Oh, medevac goes down. GG gets called. That is all that Clem had to defend. And Bjorn will take a 2-0 lead. Whew. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Bjorn will take the 2-0 lead here. Again, that was a brutal game 2. Again, Clem, he went 2-rax Reaper. He got completely shut down. And, I mean, from there, he was behind. From there, Clem, he was behind. He tried to bounce back. Alas, he was being active with his own Cyclone drop, but Bjorn had the momentum. Bjorn had the supply lead. Bjorn was in the driver's seat there, and he does snowball out of control. And with that, on a mass, one more game is all we need. I would love to see some macro. I would love to see, like, you know, 3 base versus 3 base, like a back and forth mid game. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. I would love to embrace the mid game at some point. This has been a very fast series so far. Very quick and decisive games. And we'll see if we can embrace game 3 or if it all ends here and now. I'm hoping for a game 4, I'm hoping for a game 5, I'm hoping that Clem can bring it back, but he is struggling here in this series. But again, it's been a very short and chaotic series so far. Like, it's been very intense, very unforgiving. And we'll see if Clem can bounce back. Clem wants that bench? Copium, copium. You're acting like Clem didn't wake up just before the tournament. You're Clem goes full D-Gen, Bobby. Full D-Gen. He plays best when playing at 5 a.m. in the morning. That's the Clem we know and love. Let's go. So you play in the PiGosaur Monday because it's better for your time zone. Clem, he plays in it because he just woke up. We are not the same. Oh god. To be fair, Björn is also top tier D-Gen. You're not wrong. Unironically, you're not wrong. Björn and Clem, they're very similar in that sense. True, true. They've both gone full D-Gen. To Clem, it's always 5 a.m. Exactly, exactly. That's his secret. Oh my god. And here we go. We're getting into game 3 and spawning in the top right-hand corner of a Snowpiercer. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Shopify, leading the series at 2-0. Onamas, one more game is all he needs. It is Björn. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Terran player from the land of France, representing Team Liquid, getting proxied. It is Clem. Oh no. I was hoping for the mid game. I was hoping for a 3-base setup, but now it is Björn's turn to be aggressive. He's like, mate, let me show you how it's done. Let me show you how to go full D-Gen. As a reminder, last game, Clem, he went for a very middle of the road build. Remember, Clem, he went 1 Rax proxied, 1 across the map. Sorry, one at home, 1 across the map. Meanwhile, Björn, both are proxied. Björn is that much more committed, but Clem is opening up double gas. Bear this in mind. I do favor Clem in this position. So it's going to be proxy 2 Rax Reaper for Björn. Because Clem opened up double gas, what does this mean? Faster factory. Means Rax into factory, means faster Hellion production as well. So Clem has the tools to defend. Now this isn't a hard counter, but he does have the tools. Like he can react in time, he can of course get into his Hellion, pull a couple of workers and defend. It will come down to the execution though. Will it come down to the execution? Oh my god, he's off! Never mind! I thought this was Proxy Reaper. My apologies. It is going to be Proxy Marauder. Double Tech Lab at Björn. It's all in. He's all in. 2-Rax Reaper is not. You can transition out of 2-Rax Reaper. 2-Rax Marauder. No shot, mate. We're doubling down. There's all or nothing for Björn. He's got a Proxy Depot as well, keeping the SCVs to pull with the Marauders alongside them. And we'll see if Clem can piece it all together. Now, Clem did not go for an SCV scout. He's scouting for a proxy at the triangular 3rd location. CC on the low ground. And Björn, he's just banking up those Marauders. Now, again, because of the faster factory, faster Cyclone. Cyclone is on the way. That will help in the defense. Björn is playing blind. Björn has no idea what's going on. He has no idea how greedy or how aggressive or how safe Clem has been. He has no idea. The Reapers move out. Oh. Reapers move out, some Marauders move in. The Cyclone is about to pop. And Björn, he will delay the CC, but he has to keep going. He has to bust into the main. Does push on forward. The boys are being pulled. And as long as Clem does not lose the Cyclone, it's going to be okay. Cyclone gets a lock on. 4th Marauder has arrived. I mean, so far, decent stutter stepping here by Björn. He hasn't lost anything yet. Let's cancel on the eBay. More SCVs falling. The Marauder count is getting quite high. The Marauders do shuffle around at the same time. Reapers, they bust into the middle line. Middle line, SCVs are going down. And he gets the Cyclone. No, he gets it. The Cyclone goes down. That might just be game. That might just be game. GG gets called. The Cyclone goes down. And Björn will take the series 3-0. GG. The easy AI does it again. GG, well played. The Cyclone got sniped. Again, we did have to preserve the Cyclone. That was the only thing keeping Clem alive. He had to pull the boys to repair and also, of course, to deal with the initial proxy. GG. GG, well played. With that, Björn has earned himself some sleep. Shout out to Björn. I mean, both Björn and Clem, they both pulled all-nighters. Both Björn and Clem, they played in the Wardy TV Monday, they played in the KSRC, and they played in the PiGosaur Cup as well. So if you want to say that Clem, you know, he was sleep deprived, so was Björn. So was Björn. Björn, he thrives in it a little bit more here. Clearly, Björn is the bigger degen. That's what we're learning here. That's what... Ay. GG, well played. Now, we can all sleep. We can all go to bed. Congratulations. Not the finals that I wanted, but the finals we deserved. Is that what that means? Is that Ay. Where yeah, each game ended quite quickly. I mean, that's TVT for you. I mean, that's how TVT can be, especially on a new map pool as well, just because you're not too familiar with the proxy locations, not too familiar with builds to look out for as well, what works, what doesn't, what's a little bit stronger, what isn't as well. So in the end, a very intense series, and congratulations to Björn, as he is the first PiGosaur Monday PTR champion. Congratulations here. Again, the PTR did go live last week, and a lot of Open Cups are going to be embracing the PTR as well. KSRC went for it, PiGosaur as well, alongside our Open Cups. Sparkling Tuna Cup and Tenacia Total Tussle, they will also be featured on the PTR to get as much testing done on the PTR as possible. That is the plan. That is the current plan, to make sure we can test, to make sure we can make sure that we can provide feedback and provide as much information to ESL as possible, as much feedback as possible, maybe a better way of putting it. Here we go. Clem having a rough day. He did have a rough day today because, if I'm not mistaken, Clem, he went down 3-0 to Max Packs in the KSRC, and he also went down 3-2 to Max Packs in the Wardy TV Monday. So Clem falling to Max Packs, falling to Björn as well. Not the best day here for Clem, but it's all good. He can rest, he can get some sleep, he can get some food, he can get ready for next week's cups, as of course the open events are around here on a weekly basis. Plenty of content, plenty of tournaments are out there. 5 online cups, or even 6 open cups a week, depending on the week, as KSL is also over the weekend. Speaking of, if you want to know our next cast and the next coverage on the CranKy Ducklings, we're going to be live over the weekend with the KSL, as I did just mention, on Saturday. But before KSL on Thursday, we're going to be live with the Pondcast. What is the Pondcast? That is our weekly podcast going over all the tournament results, all the news, all the events that have been occurring over the week. So plenty, basically just like a catch-up show here. Or a wrap-up show, that's a better way of putting it. A wrap-up show going over the week's events. So that is going to be on Thursday. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. I do appreciate all the birthday wishes that I got in the chat earlier. I am very sleep deprived, so I apologize for misspeaking a couple of times and like slurring my words during the cast. I'm very tired. I didn't get much sleep because we were casting the Wardy TV Monday last night, and it ended very late. I got 3 hours. I got 3 hours of sleep, and I have to make a choice. I could either have a birthday stream right now. I could just go live and have like a ladder session potentially, but I'm not awake. I don't think it's gonna be the best idea. I might just go and have a nap. I might just sleep for a couple of hours, and then have a birthday stream afterwards. I think that's gonna be the plan. I think that'll be the plan. So I'll just yeah, I think I'll just raid someone else, get some sleep, get some rest, and then I'll be live in a couple of hours later tonight with some ladder and potentially another game as well. Fun fact, I got Final Fantasy 16 just to play for the birthday stream. I didn't realize how large the game is. It's 140 gigs. I went to sleep, leaving it downloading. To be fair, I left 2 things downloading. I was downloading the PTR and downloading Final Fantasy 16 while I was asleep. I woke up and it was like 35% downloaded. I'm like, what? I'm like, what's going on? Oh my god, it's a massive download. So yeah, that's not gonna happen. So I'll leave it downloading while I nap, and hopefully it's done by the time we go live. Hopefully. Yeah, badge time. Ah, let's go. I didn't have time to chill my build. Yeah, it was a fast one. it was a quick tournament, quick finals. But yeah, look forward to more PTR tournaments in the future. And again, our next cast is going to be in 2 days. Right, our next broadcast is going to be in 2 days with the podcast. Otherwise, thank you so much. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for all the support, the subscriptions that we got in the chat, the donations as well. Thank you. We do appreciate it. 160 gig used to be like twice my monthly data quota. True. Oh my god. It's just an insane download. Crazy. I'm halfway through though. I've downloaded 72 gigs. 72. We're halfway there. Jesus. But outside of that, you can follow us. You can follow us on all the social medias. Let me just quickly set things up. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. All things CranKy Ducklings. If you want to follow us, we do post whenever we go live. Likewise, you can also subscribe on YouTube, as we also post VODs on YouTube on a daily basis. So plenty of content on YouTube. If you cannot watch live, YouTube is the place to be. I mean, VODs are also available here on Twitch, but we all know that VOD content is not ideal on Twitch. It's not that good. So YouTube is the place to be. And with that, thank you so much. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will be raiding another StarCraft channel. And who do we raid? Who's live? That's the question. Who is live at the moment? Let's see. We have Practice X just went live. True. Florencio is live. Who else do we have? Who else do we have? I could just give it to Omate Practice. True. Yeah. Give it to him. But with that, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. We'll see you guys. I'll see you guys later tonight. I'll be having a ladder session and a Final Fantasy 16 stream in like 4 hours maybe. I'll nap for 4 hours. And we'll see if that's enough. We'll see. Otherwise, see you guys next time. Ciao, papi, ciao. See you guys later tonight. Until then, hasta luego. Hasta luego.